Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. Uchiha Family's Reincarnation. Chapter 1. The moon shines on the tower, the wind blows the leaves, it is late at night. It is now the 35th year of Konoha, and 3 years have passed since the outbreak of the Second Ninja World War. The once prosperous Konoha now seems a bit withered and silent in the middle of the night. In order to prevent spies from causing chaos during the war, Konoha's curfew has lasted for a long time. The only movement in the middle of the night may be the patrol of the ninjas from the Anbu and the security forces. In the Uchiha clan's territory, in a medium-sized house. Under the dim light, Uchiha Mingjing looked at himself in the mirror. In the mirror, he had a pair of scarlet single Magatama Sharingan. Uchiha Mingjing, looking at the young and handsome face in the mirror, he couldn't help but turn his eyes to the watch on his wrist, muttering to himself. To be honest, he thought he would come to the Naruto world, but he didn't expect it to be in such a form. Because he was a reincarnation who had just entered the samsara space. Before he could perform his first mission, an internal rebellion broke out in the samsara space, and even blew up the world transmission device, causing him to be sent to this world just after entering the transmission gate and preparing to perform his first mission. He even became a member of the Uchiha clan inexplicably. With the Sharingan turned on, the movement of the entire world seemed to slow down in the eyes of Uchiha Mingjing. This was not really slowing down, but the dynamic vision bonus brought by the Sharingan, as well as extremely sharp insight. Under the gaze of the Sharingan, a few lines of small words appeared clearly on the screen of the Reincarnation watch. Reincarnation number 95,277. Current task @ information is incomplete, and the connection with the main brain of the reincarnation space is lost. According to common sense, even if you are in the heavens and the worlds, the reincarnation watch should be able to establish a connection with the reincarnation space and accept tasks. Judging from the current situation, I am afraid that the rebellion in the reincarnation space was ultimately won by the high-level reincarnations who started the rebellion. The reincarnation space, I am afraid, no longer exists. The function of this watch may only be to tell time like other ordinary watches. Feeling the consumption of chakra by opening the Sharingan for a long time, Uchiha Mingjing blinked several times, and finally closed the Sharingan after several attempts. After all, this body is only 10 years old now. Although it is shown in the memory that the original owner's grades in the ninja school are extremely excellent, the amount of chakra is ultimately limited by the body, and it is difficult to support the Sharingan for a long time. Speaking of which, this pair of single Magatama Sharingan was also opened when he just crossed over to this body, swallowing and fusing the original owner's soul, and the spiritual energy increased greatly. After the bloodstains are activated, the quality and quantity of one's chakra will be improved in stages. With the improvement of the control over the Sharingan, this situation should not occur again. After looking at the clock on the wall, Mingjing thought that there was still some time before the break, so he turned around and sat on the desk and turned on the desk lamp. The desk was cluttered with test papers and homework sent back by the ninja school, as well as several pens that had run out of ink, and some other things. Uchiha Mingjing just picked up the notebook on the table and was about to record the information in his mind about the future plot of this world, but just as he put pen to paper, he paused on the paper. The ability of ninjas to obtain information is undoubtedly extremely powerful. If you write it down, you must be prepared to be discovered by others. Japanese is definitely not available. Chinese and Japanese are very similar, so deciphering is not difficult. Even Pinyin or English are equivalent to a systematic language with precise usage rules. If it is an organization specializing in intelligence, such as the Anbu or the intelligence class, as long as there are a certain number of samples, the rules can be found and then gradually deciphered. In fact, several simple methods of deciphering ciphertexts have been taught in the ninja school alone. This is not safe either. The pen tip stayed on the paper for a long time, and finally a big black dot was pointed out. Uchiha Mingjing finally put away the pen and did not continue writing. He just turned off the desk lamp, sat back at the head of the bed and began to quietly think about the way out in the future. The identity of the person who traveled through time is actually not bad. Not only is he a member of the Uchiha clan with the Six Paths bloodline, but his own qualifications are also extremely outstanding. He ranks first among the 4th-year students of this ninja school. This is also related to family education, because the original body's parents are Uchiha who opened the Sharingan. Although they only have a single Magatama and are still only Chunin after many years of grinding, the Uchiha background can also bring him a great advantage in the initial stage. But he remembered the original body's memory yesterday and was silent for a while. Yesterday, the front line sent back a battle report. Konoha White Fang Hatake Sakumo led the elite troops to raid and circumvent, killing 2 high-ranking officials of the Sand Village, turning the situation on the front line and greatly inspiring the villagers of Konoha. But at the same time, there were also several lists of casualties on the front line. The names of the original body's parents were listed. It was also because the original body was too sad and mentally weak that he was able to pick up the advantage. Calming down his mood, according to previous experience, he closed the Sharingan. Uchiha Mingjing sighed, turned off the lights, and prepared to go to bed. Now he is too weak and can't do anything at all. But fortunately, there are still more than 10 years before the Uchiha clan is exterminated. Now we can only take one step at a time and make further plans for the future according to the situation. Early morning. The bright sunlight shines through the gap in the curtains onto the neatly folded bed. Uchiha Mingjing had already washed and dressed neatly, went to the nearby Uchiha handmade shop to buy breakfast, and hurried home. Last night, he carefully received the memories left by his original body so that he could better understand the information around him. By the morning, the cabin was full of the sound of rummaging through boxes and ping-pong. He wanted to search for some useful things in this house. At noon, he just ate a bowl of instant noodles in a hurry, and Uchiha Mingjing was busy again. It was not until the afternoon that he finally sorted out some useful things. First of all, the most important thing is money. Now he has not even graduated from the ninja school, and he has no ability to make money at all. Although the Uchiha clan is a powerful family in the ninja world and attaches great importance to their own bloodline, they also take good care of those orphans in the clan and provide some money for them every year, but at most it is only enough for them to live their lives and wait for graduation. But if you want to do additional training to enhance your strength, you still need to spend a lot of resources, and the money subsidized by the clan alone is not enough. Unless Uchiha Mingjing touched his eyes. The Uchiha clan values clan members who can open the Sharingan much more than ordinary clan members. Because being able to open the Sharingan means that your qualifications are not bad, and most importantly, your Uchiha bloodline is pure enough. Forget it, let's see how much these silver coins are first. Uchiha Mingjing looked at the sundries filled with several boxes in front of him and carefully counted them. The original parents were only Chunin, and they generally performed C-level and B-level tasks. The reward for C-level tasks was 30,000 taels to 100,000 taels, and the reward for B-level tasks was 80,000 taels to 200,000 taels. This is only the total amount of remuneration for performing a mission. Not only does the village have to take part of it, but the rest has to be distributed among teammates. In addition, the original person's parents are both ninjas, so they also need to supplement their ninja tools and daily practice. In this way, as a result, the remaining silver was finally counted to be more than 700,000 yuan. Apart from that, the only other valuable thing left was a box that was originally hidden under the bed. Among them were several ninjutsu scrolls. There are basically some regular Uchiha fire escape ninjutsus inside. There are many C-level ones, including the common Hao Fireball, Phoenix Fire, etc., while the B-level ones only have one Haolong Fire Jutsu. Generally speaking, if an Uchiha has a Sharingan, even if it is just a single Magatama, it is not difficult to learn those conventional C-level ninjutsu. B-level ninjutsu often involves changes in the nature and form of chakra, which is more difficult. If you don't master these changes in nature and form of chakra, even if you copy it with the Sharingan, it will be very difficult. It is difficult to exert its due power. In addition to these fire escape ninjutsu, most of the remaining scrolls are some related ninjutsu of Uchiha Shuriken, such as windmill, three swords and other shuriken techniques used with Sharingan. The last one is the first part of Uchiha-style swordsmanship. These ninjutsu should be enough for me to practice for a long time. In the future, when my ninja level increases, or I have achieved military exploits, I can apply to the clan leader to exchange for high-level ninjutsu scrolls. Uchiha Mingjing was thinking quickly in his mind. These ninjutsu should be enough for him to practice in the early stage, and even practice all the way to a chunin level similar to his original parents. As for the money, it should be enough, not to mention the family's funding. Even if he shows his Sharingan, then an Uchiha who opened his eyes at the age of 10 will inevitably attract some attention from the outside world, received full support from the family. The next day, at 7:30 in the morning, Uchiha Mingjing, who was still a student, yawned. From time to time, he greeted some tribesmen he met according to the habits in his memory, and headed to the ninja school with his school bag on his back. He stayed up half the night doing homework last night. The first 2 days were on Sunday, and he traveled over on Saturday night. He was busy packing his belongings the next day, so he naturally had no time to do his homework. Ding jing, morning. Arriving at the classroom, a girl with a black-backed puppy in her arms and her face painted in oil paint smiled and waved to Uchiha Mingjing. Morning. Mingjing replied weakly. He remembered that this was Inuzuka Claw, and his grades were acceptable, but his family had a strong background in the Inuzuka clan. Ding jing, help, I forgot to write my homework again. Please copy it for me. Okay Jing Tai, Mingjing, he. Inuzuka Claw hurriedly pulled over the boy who wanted to ask Uchiha Mingjing for his homework copy, glanced worriedly at Uchiha Mingjing, who seemed to be in poor condition, and then said a few words to him quietly. Ah, what, Mingjing? After Jingta heard this, he couldn't help shouting. Shut up. Inuzuka Claw covered Jingta and turned to look at Mingjing's position. But at this time, Uchiha Mingjing had put aside his homework and lay on the table to catch up on his sleep. When class teacher Kurono Ofen came in, he couldn't help but sigh slightly when he saw Uchiha Akira lying on the table, and stopped the classmates next to him who wanted to remind Uchiha Akira. For Der Spiegel, too many things have happened in the past 2 days, so let him rest first. After Kurono Ofen finished speaking, he picked up the teaching materials, walked to the podium and started teaching. This class itself is to review some important knowledge points. In Kurono's view, Uchiha Mingjing has already mastered these things very well. It is okay not to listen at this time. In addition, such changes have happened in his family. Then it's better to let the child have a good rest. This situation lasted until noon. Because Uchiha Mingjing woke up from hunger. I actually slept all morning. Only then did Uchiha Mingjing react belatedly. However, he felt that it was indeed easy to fall asleep on this school desk, and he would sleep soundly as long as he lay on it. At this time, it was already noon. All the students took out the lunch boxes they brought from home and started eating lunch. Oops, Uchiha Mingjing patted his backpack. When I left in the morning, I was in a daze and forgot to bring my lunch box. Meanwhile, Inuzuka Claw, who was planning to feed Kuromaru dog food before eating, noticed this scene. Ding jing. Inuzuka Claw suddenly shouted at Uchiha Mingjing. Huh, what's the matter? It's like this. My mother prepared a little too much tempura in the morning. In order to avoid waste, can you help me solve it? This. Just as Uchiha Mingjing was about to answer, Jingta who was nearby suddenly tapped the table again. Mingjing, I'm full, but there's still one snack that I haven't opened yet, and I can't eat it, so I'll leave it to you. Don't waste food. Jingta smiled and handed a box of cakes to Uchiha Mingjing. Thank you, Claw, and Ida. Uchiha Mingjing also reacted at this time, smiled and nodded to Jita. Hey, I'm going to become Hokage. Isn't it normal to lend a helping hand when my companions are in trouble? Jing Tai stepped onto the table triumphantly and gave himself a thumbs up. Jing Tai, I advise you to be careful and don't stand so high. Seeing this, Inuzuka touched his forehead helplessly, and even Kuromaru beside him couldn't help but shake his head. Mingjing watched the scene in front of him silently and suddenly smiled. It seems that no matter which world it is both cruel and beautiful. At the same time, in the Hokage's office, 3rd generation Sir, Elder Mitoman sent an urgent report from the Rain country. It seems that Hanzo of the Salamander has signs of joining forces with Iwagakure. The situation is critical. Please send someone to support. An Anbu half knelt on the ground and reported to Sarutobi Hiruzen. I know, you go down first. By the way, call Orochimaru, Jiraiya and Tsunade. Sarutobi Hiruzen waved his hand, indicating that the Anbu should withdraw first and go to inform Orochimaru and others. Then he picked up his pipe and thought carefully. Some time ago, Konoha had two major events, one of which was widely known and the other was limited to a certain range. The first one was that Konoha White Fang Hitaki Sakumo led an elite ninja team deep behind enemy lines and killed two high-ranking officials of the Sand Village, which greatly saved the disadvantageous situation on the Western Front. Hitaki Sakumo became famous in one battle and shocked the ninja world. The second one is a long story. The Cloud Village in the northeast tried to invade the Land of Fire. The third Raikage was extremely powerful. Sarutobi Hiruzen had no choice but to go into battle himself and block the Cloud Village. In the end, the two sides were deadlocked. The Cloud Village chose to negotiate, and Sarutobi Hiruzen gladly accepted it. As a result, this peace talk was called a peace talk, but in fact it was a trap set by the Cloud Village to abduct Konoha's Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. Fortunately, he was rescued by his good disciple Minato Namikaze. Originally thought that the matter was over, but after that, the Cloud Village prepared to send troops on the grounds that Konoha killed the peace envoy sent by the Cloud Village. In addition to the battlefield in the Rain Country, Konoha was equivalent to fighting on three fronts at this time, and it was not strong enough. Sarutobi Hiruzen would send troops soon, and in order to ensure that he, the Hokage, would not lose, he had already sent a considerable part of the main force of the village to the north. At the same time, in order to avoid no one to complete the tasks in the village and to avoid excessive emptiness inside the village, he began to let some senior students of the ninja school graduate early. Now Mitomen-en has come to ask for reinforcements again, so now, it can be expected that Konoha's military strength will soon be vacant. Thinking of this, Sarutobi Hiruzen waved his hand and signed an order, requiring the ninja school to start the graduation assessment for the 4th and 5th grade students in advance. As for why there is no 6th grade, that's because the 6th graders have already graduated in advance, and there are no 6th graders in the ninja school this year. Bang! The door of the Hokage's office was kicked open. The person who kicked the door was Tsunade, and behind her were Orochimaru and Jiraiya. "Old man, we're here." Tsunade sat down in the seat opposite Sarutobi Hiruzen, and coming to the Hokage's office was like returning home. Although strictly speaking, Konoha is indeed her home. When the first and second generations were still there, she also played in the Hokage's office. Sarutobi Hiruzen was not surprised by this, took off the pipe in his mouth, and looked at his three proud disciples in front of him. "I have a very important matter to entrust to you three," Sarutobi Hiruzen said solemnly. "In the Land of Rain, Hanzo has shown signs of colluding with Iwagakure, and there is also Sunagakure in the middle of it. The elder of Mitomen can't handle it alone. I plan to let you take 2,000 ninjas from the reserve force to support them." The Land of Rain. Tsunade looked at Orochimaru with a complicated look. Her younger brother, Nawaki, who was also Orochimaru's disciple, was killed by the explosive talisman after he accidentally fell into the trap of Iwagakure in the Land of Rain 2 years ago. Orochimaru was silent for a moment, then asked, "Old man, what do you want to do specifically?" "The situation in the Land of Rain is chaotic. Not only are there the armies of 3 major countries, but there is also Hanzo. The local power of the Land of Rain, the Hidden Rain Village, cannot be underestimated. It has almost become a quagmire of war in Konoha." Sarutobi Hiruzen sighed and continued. "What I want you to do is to cooperate with Yan to stabilize the situation, giving priority to preserving the main forces of the village. I will bring another group of ninjas north to stop the Hidden Cloud Village in a while. On the eastern front, after Sakumo did that, it has also gained a great advantage. As long as these two sides make certain breakthroughs, they can open up the situation and improve the situation in the village." "Teacher Sarutobi," Orochimaru suddenly interrupted. "Why don't you consider opening up the situation directly from the Land of Rain?" "The situation in the Land of Rain is more chaotic. It is precisely because it is more chaotic that it is the most likely place to make a breakthrough." Sarutobi Hiruzen looked into the eyes of his most outstanding disciple. This is a pair of rational, confident, and wise eyes. This look always reminds the 3rd generation of his teacher, the 2nd generation Hokage Senju Tobarama. He is a perfect ninja who is more talented than Orochimaru. 4 countries, 4 forces, as long as one of them changes, the situation in the Rain Country will change immediately. "What do you plan to do?" Sarutobi Hiruzen asked. "Find Hanzo to cooperate, because the positions of the three major countries are the most difficult to change, and there are fundamental conflicts of interest. Hanzo, as a local force, is probably the one who wants to break the current situation the most, because if the war continues like this, it will take a few years for the Rain country to completely lose its war potential. But Hanzo is now trying to join forces with the Rock country. That's because Konoha is too strong, and Sand Village is too aggressive because it is too poor, and Hanzo hopes to find a relatively weak ally to ensure his position in the alliance. A few years ago, Iwagakure and Kurigakure went to war, and the second-generation Mizukage and the second-generation Tsuchikage died together. After that, the scale of the war between the two villages continued to expand. Most of the main forces of Iwagakure followed the third-generation Tsuchikage Onoki to fight with Kurigakure, and the forces left in the Rain country were relatively weak. "What are you going to do?" Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Orochimaru and asked. "It's very simple." Orochimaru licked his lips, and a hesitant smile appeared on his pale face. "As long as we make Hanzo feel that Konoha must win in the end, he will take the initiative to join forces with us. Hanzo's strength is very strong, not inferior to this old man. Even if the three of you join forces, you may not be able to defeat him, but this can be used as an alternative plan. If there is room for operation, you can try it." Sarutobi Hiruzen was still worried and told his disciples. He had a deep understanding of the strength levels and talents of his three students. He had no doubt that his three disciples would become ninjas as strong as himself in the future, but now, their strength was still a little short of the strength that could match the cage. Hanzo's strength is not inferior to that of the previous 5 cages. Excluding the first generation of Hokage, the god of ninjas who pacified the troubled times, Hanzo's strength can be ranked at the forefront even among the previous 5 cages. "Don't worry, old man." Jiraiya patted his chest. "The war will definitely end in our hands. ... Uchiha Mingjing didn't know at this time that he would soon graduate early. It's useless to know. He is just an ordinary ninja school student. At most, he has good grades. He has the blood of Uchiha and has opened the Sharingan. He can't interfere with what the big people in the village want to do. At this time, he is still studying the ninjutsu left by his parents. The shuriken skills of the Uchiha style require strong eyesight and flexible fingers. The former can be fully met by the Sharingan, and the latter can only be achieved through practice. But the talent of this body is really good, and Uchiha seems to have extraordinary talent in shuriken in general. In just a few days, those shurikens have been played with various tricks in the hands of Uchiha Mingjing. So, Uchiha Mingjing quickly turned his attention to those ninjutsu and the swordsmanship of the Uchiha style. In terms of swordsmanship, he didn't have a suitable ninja sword in his hand, so he had to give up temporarily. With the Sharingan, even if it was only a single Magatama, it was generally very fast to learn those sea-level ninjutsu, but he had no one to demonstrate for him to copy, and Uchiha Mingjing didn't know how effective his Sharingan copy was, so he could only learn by himself. In the original work, Uchiha Itachi learned the Great Fireball by looking at the demonstration made by Uchiha Fugaku. Uchiha Sasuke was not so outrageous, but he could blow out some flames after looking at it, and he successfully learned it after only practicing hard for an afternoon. Uchiha Mingjing didn't know how his talent compared to those two people. Uchiha Itachi's talent is ridiculously high, but Uchiha Sasuke is also the top graduate of his class, and his qualifications are definitely very high. No one demonstrated, and no one taught. Uchiha Mingjing could only rely on his own guesses and kept trying every morning and evening when he didn't have classes. But even so, Uchiha Mingjing still performed a complete fireball for the first time a few days later. As this, the power of ninjutsu. Uchiha Mingjing stood in front of the pit burned by his own fireball technique, with amazement on his face. The sand at the bottom of the pit has turned into crystals under high temperature. It's almost time, it's time to go to ninja school. After taking a look at the time on the watch on his wrist, Uchiha Mingjing turned and left the training ground. This watch is actually the reincarnation watch he brought from the reincarnation space, but now even the reincarnation space is gone, and Uchiha Mingjing has not yet figured out what this watch is for. Fortunately, it can be used as a normal watch to tell time. Although watches are rare in the current ninja world, wearing them on your hands is not abrupt and will not arouse suspicion from others. After taking his lunchbox home and coming to school, Uchiha Mingjing found that the atmosphere in the school today seemed a little wrong. The head teacher, Kurono Ofen, was serious, as were the other Chunin teachers. Could it be that the leader was coming to inspect? Was it the Hokage, or other high-ranking officials in the village? When everyone in the class was present, Kurono Ofen walked straight to the podium. Uchiha Mingjing then noticed that Kurono Ofen did not go up with a textbook under his arm like before. Ahem, classmates, we will not have class today. A group of students were about to cheer, but Kurono Ofen pressed them down with both hands. Because the Hokage's office sent an order last night, this year's 4th year and 5th year students will take graduation exams in advance. The classroom exploded immediately. Even if Kurono Ofen had something to say, he couldn't stop the students from chattering at this time. Teens are the time to like fantasy, especially these students are not aware of the cruelty of reality, and always have some unrealistic ideas about the future. Just like some people, when they are in their teens, they will be entangled in whether to go to Tsinghua or Peking University. Graduate early. Last year, only those students who were about to enter the graduating class graduated 1 year in advance. This year, 2 grades of students graduated in advance. It seems that Konoha is under great pressure on the front line now and urgently needs cannon fodder. Uchiha Mingjing muttered in his heart, looking at the chaos in the classroom. Inuzuka Claw was curious about what the graduation exam topic was this year. Ida stepped on the table with one foot and shouted loudly, announcing to the whole class that graduating as a genin was just the first step for him to become a Hokage. Some people were also worried that they would not be able to pass the exam. However, Mingjing considered that his class was a key class, and the students in it were either from the ninja clan or had good talents and potential, so they should not fail to graduate. After a long time, when the excitement of these students finally passed, Kurono Ohen took out a document from his pocket. Because we graduated early, the test questions this year were also made at the last minute, and they are a little different from previous years. There will be no written test this time. It will mainly be based on actual combat. There will be 2 test questions. One is to draw one from the 3 body techniques and demonstrate it in front of the examiner. The second is the key to this graduation assessment and will largely determine your future class placement. For the second question, you will fight against the genin who have graduated for a year and have the same serial number. The specific assessment score will be judged based on your performance in the battle. But at this moment, those excited students still didn't really listen to what Kurono Ohen said. 2 test questions, Uchiha Mingjing thought secretly. The first test question is a regular test question, which is not much different from previous years. If you can pass the first test question, you should be able to successfully graduate and become a genin. Then the role of the second test question is very obvious. For diversion, just like sometimes in exams, in order to ensure that most students can pass, the teacher will set a certain proportion of basic questions, but in order to detect which students have better grades, some difficult questions will be set, so as to comprehensively test the students' learning results. The second test question is to fight against a genin who has graduated for a year. The opponent has been trained by the jonin or chunin for a year. Not only is the physical development higher, but the actual combat experience is also richer. Most of the ninja school students should find it difficult to defeat the opponent. There are very few people who can defeat a genin who has graduated for a year while still a ninja student. Basically, they are already considered geniuses in the conventional sense. This graduation test is designed in this way, mostly to distinguish between mediocre people and those with real high potential. The former are probably not assigned any powerful guiding jonin, and may even have to go to the battlefield and be eliminated as cannon fodder, while the latter should get better resources and protection. Now, let's start drawing lots. Students who are called to draw numbers should go to the playground downstairs for the test. Kurono Onna pulled out a box from under the desk and placed it on the podium. One by one, students came up to the stage to draw. After Uchiha Mingjing finished drawing, he opened it and took a look. Transformation Technique No. 27. Mingjing, what is your test question? Inuzuka Tail asked curiously when he saw Uchiha Mingjing walking down from the stage. Transformation Technique. Mine is the clone technique. It's a pity that the clan hasn't taught me and Kuromaru the beast clone technique yet, otherwise we could easily get a high score on this question. The beast clone of the Inuzuka clan can transform a ninja dog into a clone like the original. Not only can it perform some of the Inuzuka clan's ninjutsu, but it also has excellent resistance to blows compared to other clones. At the same time, the clone's simulation degree is also very high, and ordinary perception ninjutsu cannot recognize it at all. It is considered a very excellent clone. It's okay. The first question should not be important. Whether you can get a high enough score depends mostly on how you perform in the second question, which can better demonstrate your combat ability. What's more, your ordinary clone is actually not bad. Uchiha Mingjing comforted. Inuzuka Claw stroked Kuromaru's head and said, I don't know how strong those genin who graduated a year ago are. I hope I won't be assigned to a too strong opponent. Uchiha Mingjing didn't care about this. During this time in the ninja school, he has already known his current strength level. After all, among these students of the same age, I have never heard of anyone who can master C-level ninjutsu in the 4th grade, not to mention that he has the Sharingan, a killer weapon that can bring a lot of bonus in battle. It is rare to be able to open the Sharingan before the age of 10. In addition, he inherited the excellent ninja qualities of his original body, which was almost the best in the same class. He should be able to secure the position of the chief of this class. It is impossible that a chief class will not be assigned a Jonin as an instructor. At this time, Jingtai, who had just been called to take the test, came back. His serial number is number 2, and he is the first batch to take the test. Jingtai, how did you do in the test? Inuzuka Claw asked Jingtai in a low voice. Don't worry, the examiner looks very gentle, and he also praised me for my good performance of the substitute technique. What about the second question? Will the senior ninja on the opposite side be very strong? Jingtai scratched his head embarrassedly. I was unlucky. I faced a genin with Byakugan. I only held out for a few minutes before he knocked me down with his soft fist. It's okay. A few minutes is already very strong. Inuzuka soon comforted. Soon, Jingtai regained his spirits. It's just a little setback. When I become a genin, I will train harder, and then become a hero of the village in the war, and finally become a Hokage. Uchiha Mingjing felt that this guy was poisoned by Sarutobi Hiruzen's will of fire. However, being able to hold out for a few minutes under a genin with Byakugan, this result should not be too bad. Soon, it was Inuzuka Sume's turn to play. Her serial number was 19, and she was in the second batch to enter the examination room. Born in the ninja clan, she had a much better foundation in all aspects than Jingtai, and she didn't match any powerful opponents, so the final result should be ideal. After Inuzuka Sume came out, it was the turn of Uchiha Mingjing's group of 10 people to enter the examination room. On the high platform of the playground, a handsome man with long light blue hair sat on it. On both sides of him were several accompanying examiners, and there were 10 genin who looked older than him. Not far away, there was a group of other genin waiting outside the venue. They were all test questions for others. For these genin, this was a D-level task that was easier than catching a cat and much less laborious than cleaning the river. Everyone, I am the chief examiner of your graduation assessment, Kato Dan. The test question for this batch of you is the transformation technique. I will ask you to become like me. Kato Dan said with a smile. Now, you can start to show your transformation technique. As soon as Kato Dan finished speaking, puffs of white smoke quickly emerged from the field. 10 Kato Dan stood neatly in the field, but some people's clothes were a little different from Kato Dan's, and there was even one who was too nervous and even kept his original hair color, not turning into the same light blue as Kato Dan. The transformation technique not only tests the transformation technique itself, but also tests a ninja's most basic observation and imitation abilities. From a person's appearance to his movements, expressions and voice, they are all very important. Uchiha Mingjing naturally did not have the same problems as the others, and even had a faint smile on his face that was exactly the same as Kato Dan's. Examiner Kato, can we start the next question? Uchiha Mingjing took a step forward and said with a smile. His facial expressions and voice were very similar to Kato Dan's. The smile on Kato Dan's face became even stronger. Uchiha Mingjing, excellent transformation technique. Now, you can cancel the transformation technique and start your next test question. After Kato Dan finished speaking, white smoke came out, and the 10 Kato Dans returned to their original appearance. At the same time, 10 genin came out and stood opposite each candidate, reminding them to keep a distance from others so as not to affect their respective battles. Everyone, it's still the old rules. Find a student to observe and score carefully. As for Uchiha Mingjing, leave it to me. Kato Dan whispered to the examiners around him, then walked down the platform and stood next to Uchiha Mingjing and his opponent. Opposite Uchiha Mingjing was a young genin with half-long hair and a moon logo on his clothes. Moonlight Whirlwind. The genin on the opposite side made a brief self-introduction, then stretched out a hand towards Uchiha Mingjing and made a seal of opposition. Uchiha Mingjing. Mingjing did the same. Now, let's start. As Kato Dan raised his arm high and swung it down, Uchiha Mingjing instantly took out a shuriken from the ninja tool bag on his waist and threw it in the direction of Moonlight Whirlwind. However, Moonlight Tornado obviously did not underestimate these shurikens, because everyone knows that Uchiha is a group of people who can play with shuriken in a variety of ways. Moonlight Tornado's first reaction was to dodge. But after these shurikens flew out, they suddenly split into two in midair, changing their trajectory. This is a technique in the Uchiha-style shuriken, called Shadow Shuriken, which is a bit similar to the Shuriken Shadow Clone technique invented by the third-generation Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, but the principles, difficulty and power of the two are completely different. The latter is an A-level ninjutsu, which is derived from shuriken on the basis of the B-level ninjutsu Shadow Clone technique, while the principle of the former is to use a sleight of hand similar to the invisibility technique, to squeeze two shurikens and throw them out, so that the shuriken can split into two after flying out, creating an unexpected effect. After Moonlight Tornado turned lightly to avoid the shuriken, Uchiha Mingjing pulled the elastic wire wrapped around his fingers again and pulled the shuriken back. Even these shurikens kept colliding with each other on their way back, changing their paths and making them even more difficult to dodge. Uchiha-style shuriken manipulation. However, this Moonlight Tornado obviously had some skills. After seeing that the shuriken came from a strange direction and was difficult to dodge, he directly drew out the ninja sword from his waist, exerted his strength, and swung the ninja sword like a windmill, knocking all the shurikens away. Then he took a step and rushed towards Uchiha Mingjing with the sword like an arrow from a string. Obviously, his basic swordsmanship skills were very solid. Just when Uchiha Mingjing drew out his kunai and was ready for battle, the charging figure of Moonlight Tornado suddenly disappeared in the field. As this, a shurikens. It seems that this genin of the Moonlight family is a very powerful genin. Seeing this scene, Kato Dan couldn't help but wonder how Uchiha Mingjing would deal with it. Among the bloodstains in the ninja world, the transparent escape technique does not stand out. Any powerful character can basically break the invisible effect of the transparent escape technique. However, bloodstains are bloodstains after all. Even the worst bloodstains will have an overwhelming advantage when facing ninjas who have not opened other bloodline limits at the genin or even chunin stage. Judging from the swordsmanship and transparent escape technique that Moonlight Cyclone has currently demonstrated, if he can have one or two more ninjutsu that can form a long-distance attack, he can already be called an elite among the genin. This kind of strength is obviously a bit excessive for a ninja school student. Fortunately, Uchiha Mingjing is not a normal ninja school student. He quickly closed and opened his eyes, revealing his single Magatama Sharingan. Everything around him seemed to slow down, and the flow of chakra on everyone's body was clearly seen by Uchiha Mingjing, including the chakra of Moonlight Cyclone who was about to attack from the side. At this moment, he was more conspicuous than anyone else around him, because he was covered with a layer of chakra that could create an invisible effect. Jung. The crisp sound of metal collision rang out, and Uchiha Mingjing relied on the powerful dynamic vision and insight given by the Sharingan to start a close battle with Moonlight Cyclone. After seeing Uchiha Mingjing's Sharingan, Moonlight Cyclone decisively turned off the transparent escape. The most feared thing about transparent escape is the perception ninja and the ninja with pupil blood. Since he knew that he would be seen through, he might as well turn off the transparent escape and save chakra. But Mingjing didn't dare to turn off the Sharingan. The opponent graduated a year early last year, and he graduated 2 years early. The age difference is 2 years. At this age, there is a big difference in the degree of physical development for every year of difference. In terms of physical fitness, he is indeed not as good as the opponent. In addition, Moonlight Cyclone's swordsmanship is also very solid. Even if he can see the flaws with the Sharingan, the opponent can still return to defend in time. It's a pity, if only I knew some illusions related to the Sharingan. Uchiha Mingjing sighed inwardly. If he knew the illusions of the Sharingan, he would only need to glare at the flaws when he found them, and he might succeed. Unless the opponent could fight like Might Guy, only looking at the soles of his feet. If it was just an if, he knew very well that he could only hold his ground against Moonlight Cyclone with the power of the Sharingan, but if he continued like this, his chakra would definitely not be enough. He knew that he had to make changes as soon as possible. Ninjutsu was used at this time. Immediately, Uchiha Mingjing used a kunai to block Moonlight Cyclone's ninja sword while showing a small flaw, causing the opponent to raise his leg to kick. He was well prepared and took this opportunity to push the ground with his left foot, lift his right foot and hit Moonlight Cyclone's leg hard, while pushing his left leg forward to make his body retreat quickly. Taking advantage of this opportunity to distance himself, he quickly formed seals with both hands. Si Wei Shenhai Huyin. Fire style. Great fireball technique. A huge fireball spewed out from Uchiha Mingjing's mouth quickly, and rushed towards Moonlight Cyclone with great momentum. Moonlight Cyclone was obviously a little flustered, but as a Jonin seed that only appears once every few years in the Moonlight clan, he obviously had other means. Wind style. Great breakthrough. A strong wind also spewed out from Moonlight Cyclone's mouth, blocking Uchiha Mingjing's great fireball in front. It was just that he formed the seal too late, and by the time the ninjutsu was successfully released, the fireball had already arrived in front of him. Moonlight Cyclone could only barely maintain the wind escape, trying his best to blow away the fireball in front, but the fireball was still moving in the direction where he was. Wind attribute chakra is restrained by fire attribute. Obviously, his attainments in wind attribute chakra have not yet reached the level that can make up for the gap to a certain extent. He can only watch the fireball moving towards him. The burning feeling from it and the tension in his heart made Moonlight Cyclone's forehead sweat continuously. At this time, Kato Dan, who was standing on the sidelines, knew that it was time for him to stand up. Obviously, Moonlight Cyclone had no other means to deal with this situation. Earth Escape Earth Flow Wall. A solid earth wall rose in front of Moonlight Cyclone, blocking the ninjutsu of the two at the same time. Then, this battle will end here. The final result is that Uchiha Mingjing won. Kato Dan announced very straightforwardly. Moonlight Cyclone opened his mouth and wanted to say something. But the next moment, the Uchiha Mingjing in front of him suddenly turned into a wooden stake and fell to the ground. I have no doubts. It depends on whether he agrees with your judgment, examiner. The figure of Uchiha Mingjing suddenly jumped out from a corner on the side. Moonlight Whirlwind was stunned, but Kato Dan suddenly laughed. Wonderful tactical design. I don't know if the opponent has any means to counter the high fireball. I plan to use the substitute technique when the enemy finally takes out their trump cards before the high fireball dissipates and can block the line of sight. When the opponent thinks it is ours, a sneak attack when you win and let your guard down. Kato Dan deduced all of Mingjing's tactics quite comprehensively. After listening to Kato Dan's explanation, Moonlight Tornado was finally convinced. Not to mention that he really doesn't have any means to counter the opponent. Even if he does, Uchiha Mingjing still has other means. Moonlight Tornado sighed, then stepped forward and made a seal of reconciliation with Uchiha Mingjing. You guy. Moonlight Tornado shook his head. I originally thought I was an outstanding person among the genin of my class, but I didn't expect to lose to a ninja student. I'm afraid I will be laughed at by my teammates when I go back. I can see that you are actually very strong. Uchiha Mingjing also smiled. In fact, I don't have much chakra left, so I can only be clever, otherwise, I will definitely lose to you. If you lose, you lose. Otherwise, ninja combat, intelligence and tactics are one of the most important keys. Moonlight Tornado patted Uchiha Mingjing's shoulder. I'm waiting for you to become a big shot in the village. In this way, even if I lose to you, it won't be a shame. On the sidelines, Kato Dan looked at this scene and nodded slightly. The young people in the village are getting better and better. See Gui. Jingta looked at Uchiha Mingjing in disbelief. You actually defeated a senior who is 2 years older than us and has graduated for a year. Mr. Mingjing, it seems that you should be the chief of the graduation assessment this time. Inuzuka Claw also showed a shocked expression. The fact that Ming Jing defeated a genin 2 years older than him had already spread among the ninjas at the same time. Because he is the only one who has defeated his opponent in this assessment so far. At that time, they were divided into 10 groups for the battle. When Uchiha Mingjing and Moonlight Tornado finished the competition, many candidates had already finished the competition and saw Uchiha Mingjing opening the Sharingan and fighting with Moonlight Tornado. Picture. In fact, the students in Uchiha Mingjing's class all did pretty well. After all, it is a key class, and in this war period, Konoha, which is in urgent need of combat power, will not let people fail to graduate. The level is really good. No, as long as you can use chakra and throw shurikens, you can become a low-level cannon fodder that attracts the enemy's attention on the battlefield. When the graduation examination was over, Kurono Ofen stood on the podium again, called the students up one by one, and personally put on Konoha's ninja forehead protectors. Whenever a student stands on the podium, he will always look carefully at the student in front of him and try to remember his appearance. If one day they go to the battlefield and fail to come back alive, then my teacher may be the only one who still remembers them. But this does not mean that this is the last meeting between these students and Kurono Ofen. Because 3 days later, they will be here again for splitting classes. Well, see you in 3 days. Uchiha Mingjing picked up his backpack and said goodbye to his 2 companions. Ding Jing, you are the number 1 this time, but in the future, the person who becomes Chunin first and finally Hokage must be me, Mr. I. You must not be caught up by me so quickly, otherwise it's boring to catch up. Ida yelled and parted with Inuzuka Claw and Uchiha Mingjing at the door. When Mingjing returned home, he was quickly notified by members of the police department, asking him to see the patriarch. The previous clan leader of Uchiha passed away last year, and the current clan leader who just took over is the previous young clan leader, Uchiha Fugaku, who is in his early 20s and is powerful even among Uchiha who have 3 Magatama Sharingan. In addition, the connections left by his father's generation are still there, and the conflict between Uchiha and the village has not been amplified by the Nine Tails Rebellion, so the position of the clan leader is quite secure. Uchiha Mingjing had already guessed that he would receive this notice soon after returning to his clan. Because the Uchiha clan attaches great importance to bloodline, they attach even more importance to clan members who can open the Sharingan eyes. And with Uchiha's intelligence capabilities, this will definitely know that he has opened his eyes. After politely seeing off the Chunin from the police department who came to inform him, Mingjing washed his face and tidied up his clothes before setting off for the patriarch's residence. This is a polite way to treat people, especially since the person I am going to meet this time is the head of my family. I hope this clan leader can be more generous and reward the new generation of geniuses in his clan with good things. The patriarch's mansion is very grand, and Mingjing's eyes are very fiery when he looks at it. There's even a small pond inside. The current Uchiha is not like when he moved to the outskirts of Konoha after the Kyuubi rebellion. As the family that founded Konoha together with Senju, Uchiha's current clan territory happens to be close to the center of Konoha. It can be said that every inch of land is precious. Anyone who can have such a magnificent mansion here will be envious. Living room. The interior here is elegant and luxurious, even the floor is covered with a layer of exquisite and gorgeous carpets, and a huge picture hangs in the center of the wall, the pattern of which is the red and white fan emblem of the Uchiha clan. Lord Patriarch. Uchiha Mingjing sat on the tatami meticulously and called the young man in front of him who looked bitter and resentful. Mr. Mingjing, you are here. Uchiha Fugaku wanted to show his kindness to the new genius in the family, but he looked like this. Even though he tried hard to smile, the expression on his face still looked so serious. I remember that you are the child of brother Chiji and sister Rina. I believe they will be proud to see that they have opened their Sharingan today and have grown into an Uchiha who can stand alone. Uchiha Fugaku pushed the full teacup towards the mirror and played the family card at the same time. Clan leader, thank you very much. I am just a genin who has just graduated. There is still a long way to go before I can become a capable ninja. Uchiha Mingjing said modestly as usual. Uchiha Fugaku finally managed to squeeze out a smile on his face. I have a very good relationship with brother Chenji. When I first entered the police force, brother Chenji took great care of me. Uchiha Fugaku said with a hint of recall. His relationship with Uchiha Chiji was actually pretty good, and the latter did take some care of him in the beginning, mainly because Fugaku was the patriarch's son, so everyone in the police force took good care of him. Now, you have also opened the Sharingan and become an excellent Uchiha. What's even more rare is that you are only 10 years old. The sooner or later you open your eyes actually has no absolute relationship with the future development. Those who open your eyes late may not be unable to become strong. But relatively speaking, the earlier the eye is opened, the more time is left for this Uchiha to evolve the Sharingan. Emotions are most easily aroused during the developmental period, which is also when Uchiha's Sharingan is most likely to evolve. When a person reaches a certain age, his ability to control emotions becomes stronger and stronger, and the difficulty of opening and evolving the Sharingan will naturally increase. Promote. Therefore, the Uchiha clan also believes that the sooner the eyes are opened, the more likely it is that the Sharingan will reach a higher level in the future. Even in the original time and space, Uchiha Fugaku asked Itachi to witness the cruelty of war when he was 5 years old, trying to make him he opened his eyes. Every clan member who opens his eyes is the family's most precious asset, and the clan will do its best to train you. I hope you can become a powerful ninja in the future. Don't let down your noble bloodline, and Uchiha's surname. Having said this, Uchiha Fugaku took out another seal scroll from under the table and placed it on the table. According to the clan's practice, for every clan member who activates the Sharingan, the clan will fund a batch of 500,000 taels of silver, plus the war death pension of brother Kionji and sister Lina. Gold. Pension. Uchiha Mingjing suddenly frowned and realized something. He has never heard of pensions, and even after such a long time, he has not seen any trace of pensions. Uchiha Fugaku's eyes suddenly changed, and even the 3 Magatama's Sharingan opened. Ding Jing, what do you mean, you didn't receive the pension? Uchiha Fugaku's already deep voice seemed even heavier at this moment. Uchiha Mingjing shook his head. Seeing this, Uchiha Fugaku closed his eyes and thought deeply. I have just taken over as the clan leader, and those old stubborns have already done such a thing. Suddenly, Mingjing, who realized that his share of the pension had been embezzled, sat obediently and drank tea. I have to say that the tea from the patriarch's house is indeed good tea. Even a person like Mingjing who doesn't know much about tea knows it is good tea when he drinks it. After sitting quietly for a long time, Uchiha Fugaku finally opened his eyes, and the Magatama in his eyes gradually disappeared. Mirror. Lord Patriarch, don't worry, you are an elite Uchiha who has opened the Sharingan. What's yours must be yours. Even the Hokage can't take it away. By the way, after you open the Sharingan, you can go to the family treasury to redeem one. Ninjutsu, take my warrant, and remember to come to Nanga Shrine in the evening to attend the clan meeting. After Uchiha Fugaku finished speaking, he took out another warrant from his pocket and handed it to Mingjing. January 9th is the birthday of god Indra. Therefore, Uchiha clan meetings are held on the 9th of every month and are attended by all Uchiha elites who have opened their Sharingan. As for every January 9th, the clan meeting will be held even more grandly, and all clan members can participate. It is regarded as a unique festival of the Uchiha clan. Master Patriarch, if there is nothing else, I will leave first. Uchiha Fugaku nodded, watched Mingjing exit the door, stood up, and looked at the pond in the small courtyard outside the window with his hands behind his hands. He, Uchiha Fugaku, was successful at a young age. Not only did he become a powerful Junin at a young age, he opened the 3 Magatama Sharingan eyes, he also inherited the position of the Patriarch of Uchiha, a 1,000-year-old wealthy family. There are few peers in the Leaf Village who don't envy him. However, Uchiha Fugaku, the clan leader, was not happy. Because he is too young, even though he is also a Jonin of San Magatama, he has not yet had time to establish his reputation in the ninja world. Uchiha, on the other hand, has always only believed in strength. If he does not show that he is strong enough to be worthy of the position of the clan leader, then he will always be the clan leader in name only. Power is still controlled by the older generation of clan elders. Most of those clan elders came from the Warring States period. They basically watched Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama lead their clansmen to establish Konoha village when they were young, and they were quite senior. They still maintain the old ways of thinking and doing things during the Warring States period, and in their view, Konoha was founded by Senju and Uchiha together. When Konoha was first built, the Sarutobi clan could only rely on them. The small Uchiha clan couldn't stand the idea of Sarutobi Hiruzen, a junior, sitting on top of them and becoming the Hokage and dominating them, and they were not happy with the current village leaders. In short, Uchiha Fugaku, the new clan leader, is very dissatisfied with the current situation of Uchiha, and he is also even more dissatisfied with these clan elders who control power. This time, Uchiha Fugaku saw an opportunity. A chance to seize power. If the ninjas killed in the Konoha War are civilian ninjas, there will usually be a special part for payment. Even if they are embezzled, these small civilian ninjas will not be able to make any waves even if they sue. The ninja clan is not easy to mess with. These departments will remit the money directly to these ninja clan, and the families will distribute it to the families of the ninja clan. Even wealthy families like Uchiha Hyuga will provide an additional subsidy within the clan. Now, judging from the performance of Uchiha Mirror, there must be some problems in the key points, which may be an excuse for Uchiha Fugaku to attack. From ancient times to the present, the cause of countless major events in history may have been caused by an extremely small event from a historical macro perspective. He, Uchiha Fugaku, will take advantage of this incident to take back part of the power that belongs to him, the clan leader. And, Uchiha Fugaku's eyes moved toward the door. This junior has a good talent. Compared with other tribesmen who are crazy at first glance, his personality is also much better. I heard that he is still the chief of this generation, and he has opened the Sharingan at a young age. If I can use this, if you have the opportunity to take him under your command, you may have a Jonin-level confidant under you in a few years. Thinking of this, Uchiha Fugaku called for a reliable old servant at home and gave him a new token. When you catch up with Ming Jing-kun, tell him that I have a lot of things to do and I was confused for a moment. I just gave him the wrong token. Go get this token and replace it with him. Also, tell him not to worry. As an Uchiha clan leader, I have the obligation to protect every outstanding genius in the clan. Hey, Uchiha Mingjing was a little distressed. First, the pension that should have belonged to him was inexplicably embezzled by someone. Now, looking at Uchiha Fugaku's appearance, it seems that he is going to take advantage of the situation again. I am afraid that I will be involved in this matter. Whether it is the fight between the clan leaders or the entanglement between the entire Uchiha and Konoha high-level leaders, it is not something that a small genin like me can withstand. Unless I can find a powerful backer. When I was distressed, I found that the road ahead was blocked by an unknown person. Excuse me, the clan leader said that he has many things to do and took the wrong token. He asked you to change it to this. The man took out a token with a finer texture and handed it to Mingjing. The clan leader also said that as the clan leader, he will protect every outstanding genius in the clan. The Uchiha, who is not young, looked at Uchiha Mingjing with a slightly meaningful look. Looking at the other person's eyes, Mingjing woke up instantly. Uchiha Fugaku is planning to win him over. In other words, Mingjing is going to become a member of the clan leader's line within the family. As an Uchiha with an open eye, or even an Uchiha who opened his Sharingan at the age of 10, Mingjing is fully qualified to attract the clan leader's recruitment. Just when I wanted a backer, it came. Taking the wrong token is just a cover. The real meaning is still the new token. If you take it, you will be labeled as a member of the clan leader's line. Mingjing decisively took the token with 3 Magatama patterns and said, Mingjing will remember the clan leader's kindness in his heart. As a member of the Uchiha clan, I will definitely support the clan leader. The Uchiha understood the meaning of Mingjing's words and nodded with satisfaction. With this token, you can be listed in the team directly under the minister of the police force. Then, the old Uchiha slightly put his mouth close to Uchiha Mingjing's ear. The elder Uchiha Yu, who guards the clan treasury, is the confidant of the former clan leader and a staunch supporter of the clan leader. Show him this token and he will help you. After saying that, he patted Uchiha Mingjing on the shoulder and walked back slowly. It seems that as long as I take this token, everyone will assume that I am the clan leader's man. Uchiha Mingjing looked at the exquisitely carved patterns on the token in his hand and thought to himself. However, from the current point of view, this is indeed a good thing. At least for the next nearly 20 years, Uchiha Fugaku can sit firmly in the position of the clan leader. However, this clan leader is not yet fully grown. Judging from the future plot, he is also an indecisive person. Even if he awakens the Mangekyo Sharingan in the future, he dare not use it. His prestige and strength shown to the outside world are relatively low among the clan leaders of Uchiha. Being able to sit firmly in the position of clan leader does not mean that he has the ability to do things. Now he can be used as a backer, but in the future, he still has to rely on himself. The ninja world, in the final analysis, is a place where strength speaks. Uchiha is a family that is extremely fanatical about strength. If you are a Jonin, everyone in the village will look up to you, even Uchiha. If you have the strength of the cage, as long as you are not a loyal person like Hatake Tsukumo, you can get along well anywhere. No matter how arrogant the Uchiha is, they will show a certain respect for this level of strong people. Uchiha Fugaku may be thinking of using him for his own use. After a few years, he will have an extra Jonin combat force under his command. However, if he can reach the combat power of the cage level in the future, his status in the clan will not be lower than that of the clan leader, and only at that level can he change the future fate of the Uchiha clan. Even if he has the strength of Madara, let alone the Uchiha clan leader, even the position of Hokage is not very desirable. With that strength, why not build his own power and unify the ninja world directly? Of course, those are too far away for Mingjing now. For him who is still just a genin, Uchiha Fugaku can not only help him out, but also give him benefits. It is a waste not to hold such a thigh. As long as he, Uchiha Fugaku, does not do anything to disappoint him, then Uchiha Mingjing is also willing to give him a reward in the future. While thinking, a building with a simple shape and a huge Uchiha fan clan emblem painted on it appeared in front of Mingjing. This is the Uchiha clan library. It not only stores a large number of ninjutsu collected by the Uchiha clan, but also many rare treasures, such as various precious medicinal materials, famous swords mixed with chakra metal, fine ninjutsu purchased from the Ninja Cat clan, etc. Such an important place has its own clan elders of the rank of Jonin sitting in charge. Uchiha Yu leaned on the recliner swayingly, seemingly resting his mind, but in fact he was using his spiritual perception ability to silently watch any movement in the clan library to prevent the villains from breaking in. Is there another clan member coming? Strange, there is not much chakra, but the mental power is quite good. Uchiha Yu looked surprised, opened his eyes, and looked outside the door. There, a Uchiha boy in a light blue top was walking slowly. Elder Yu, I am Uchiha Mingjing, and I am here to receive the ninjutsu under the order of the clan leader. Uchiha Mingjing took out the token and handed it to a thin old man in front of him for inspection. Uchiha Yu took the token and looked at the boy in front of him. Mingjing. This name, Uchiha Yu quickly searched in his mind. The total number of Uchiha clan members is only a few hundred. As a clan elder who cares about the clan situation very much, he remembers the names of most people in the clan. I remember you are the child of Chenji. You are much more talented than your father to be able to open the Sharingan at this age. I hope you can be like your father and not bring down the reputation of Uchiha. Uchiha Yu patted Mingjing on the shoulder. To die on the battlefield is the last and most important honor in the life of an Uchiha. Uchiha Yu silently looked at the boy in front of him. You came here to open your eyes. Mingjing nodded. Age? Uchiha Yu asked again. Mingjing thought this was a routine registration before receiving ninjutsu, and he needed to ask about age and family situation. 10 years old. You opened your eyes at the age of 10. Is it because of your parents? Uchiha Yu sighed leisurely and looked at the handsome boy in front of him again. Having opened the Sharingan at the age of 10, there is a very high probability that he will be able to evolve the Sharingan to a higher level in the future. Moreover, from his perception just now, Mingjing's mental power is also very strong, so strong that it does not seem like the mental energy that one should have at this age. Even if he has opened the Sharingan, that is almost equal to the mental energy generated by two people's souls. It seems that he is a talented junior, and it was promoted by that boy Fugaku. He is worthy of training. Uchiha Yu thought slowly in his mind. If I'm not wrong, Kionji and Lina should have left you a lot of low-level ninjutsu. Uchiha Mingjing nodded, indicating that this was indeed the case, and at the same time added, "Elder Yu, I have learned the art of fireball by myself." He is trying his best to show his value in order to obtain better resources for training. Uchiha Yu stroked his beard, glanced at the Uchiha mirror, and said, "Very good. The 3 C-level ninjutsu of Go Fireball Jutsu, Phoenix Fire Jutsu, and Dragon Fire Jutsu are the 3 most basic and most important ninjutsu in Uchiha's fire escape system. If you can learn these only with 3 ninjutsu, can you be qualified to continue studying the high-level ninjutsu within your clan. Like the Great Fireball, if you add the form change of fire release, you can derive the Great Fire Extinguishing Technique. If you add the property change of fire release to the Dragon Fire Jutsu, it will be the ninjutsu of Great Dragon Fire. The basics, in addition, are the Red Phoenix Flower Claws, which are also closely related to the Phoenix Fire technique. You are not qualified to learn high-level ninjutsu yet, but you are not lacking in low-level ninjutsu, so next, listen carefully with your ears and look carefully with your Sharingan. Look carefully. Be careful, because what I want to teach you are the other 2 basic fire escape ninjutsu, and how to continue to improve your fire escape skills based on these 3 fire escape ninjutsu." After Uchiha Yu finished speaking, he stood up from the recliner and led Ming Jing outside. Ming Jing's eyes lit up and he followed him with all his might. The patriarch's thigh is really easy to hug. As soon as he hugged him, a Jonin of Uchiha's level came to give him guidance, and he was not only taught a ninjutsu according to the rules. In fact, it was not entirely because of Uchiha Fugaku that Uchiha Yu planned to teach Ming Jing these things. As an old man over 70 years old, his strength is no longer what it used to be. It has declined so much that he can only do light work like guarding the family treasury. However, his more than 60 years of ninja career has given him a different perspective. From Uchiha Fugaku, to the former clan leader, to the previous Uchiha Madara, and to Uchiha Madara's father Uchiha Tajima, Uchiha Yu has experienced 4 Uchiha clan leaders. It can be said that he is a real veteran of the 4 dynasties. He has extremely high qualifications and considerable influence within the clan. Even Uchiha Fugaku had to bow obediently and call him clan uncle when he saw him. He knew how powerful Uchiha was at his peak, and how much weaker Uchiha was now compared to when the village was founded, so he was naturally worried. Uchiha Ming Jing opened the Sharingan when he was 10 years old. His talent in Sharingan is definitely not bad, and he has such strong spiritual energy, which can be said to be a promising future. In Uchiha Yu's view, he has a high probability of growing into a pillar supporting the Uchiha clan in the future, and he will naturally pay attention to the training of the younger generations of this clan. Following Uchiha Yu's footsteps, Ming Jing arrived at the lake entrance at the end of the lower reaches of the Nanga River. The Nanga Shrine where the Uchiha clan holds clan meetings is located somewhere on the lower reaches of the Nanga River. The first time Madara and Hashirama met was also on the banks of the Nanga River. Perhaps the 2 still competed here. Who can pee further? The small artificial lake at Uchiha Fugaku's house is also diverted from the Nanga River. Like many rivers, the Nanhi River is narrow and rapid in the upper reaches, wide and smooth in the lower reaches, and finally merges into the large lake. This is a good place to practice fire escape. The main purpose is to release fire escape far away from the lake, so that it is less likely to cause a fire. Let's start with the Dragon Fire technique. This technique has fewer seals and can be performed with the help of ninja tools, so it will be less difficult. With that said, Uchiha Yu took out a kunai with a wire tied at the end and handed it to Uchiha Ming Jing. There are only 4 seals for the Dragon Fire technique, namely Si, Chen, Mao, Yin. Uchiha Yu slowly formed 4 seals on his hand, so that he could display them more clearly in front of Ming Jing. And Ming Jing had already opened his Sharingan, carefully watching Uchiha Yu's every move and the flow of chakra in his body. After extracting chakra through the seal, don't spit it out as hard as a fireball, but try to condense the flame into a straight line, further concentrate the power on a single point, and then do this again. After Uchiha Yu finished speaking, he spit out a slender flame directly towards the lake, darting out as quickly as a fire dragon. How about it? Uchiha Yu turned his head, looked at Ming Jing and asked gently. I've memorized it with my eyes. Uchiha Ming Jing now also understands how to speak to make these Uchiha like to listen. All it takes is his noble and powerful blood-stained boundary Sharingan. After hearing Ming Jing's answer, Uchiha Yu nodded with satisfaction and said, "For genin like you who have just come into contact with the dragon fire jutsu, it is best to use kunai and steel wire to coordinate this jutsu, and you can also use the steel wire to better focus the flames in a straight line. This kind of training is very useful, for it will be helpful for you to master the shape changes of fire escape in the future, and you can even smear and soak some fire oil on these steel wires to speed up the spread of flames." Quote. Uchiha Yu pointed casually. For those ninjas who are not from the ninja clan, it is very difficult to gain the experience of these veteran senior ninjas without the guidance of the guiding Jonin. Try to use kunai and steel wire first. Later, you will have to practice slowly to improve yourself. Hearing Uchiha Yu's words, Ming Jing threw the kunai with steel wire tied at the end forward with force. With the powerful vision of the Sharingan and the excellent throwing ability of ninja tools, the kunai was steadily inserted into a reef on the lake. Si Chen Mao Yin. Fire Escape Dragon Fire Technique. The raging flames quickly burned along the steel wire and spread to the reef. The scorching temperature burned the steel wire and the reef red. Yeah, Uchiha Yu nodded again with appreciation, and then continued to teach the Phoenix Fire Technique. In one day, he took the graduation test in the morning, received the ninja forehead protector from Kurono Ono at noon, and went to Uchiha Fugaku's house in the afternoon. In the last 2 hours, Ming Jing was learning fire escape ninjutsu from Uchiha Yu. The old man did not just teach 2 ninjutsu. Otherwise, he only needed to perform 2 ninjutsu in front of Uchiha Ming Jing and let him copy it with the Sharingan. Chapter 11. The follow-up practice methods. Part of the training methods and experiences of fire attribute chakra were all described to Ming Jing, giving him a general understanding of Uchiha's fire escape system and the direction of his future fire escape training. If he wasn't really optimistic about this talented junior in the clan, Uchiha Yu wouldn't teach so much. The old man even invited Ming Jing to his house for dinner in the end. "Grandpa Yu, it's too disturbing. Leave these tableware to me to clean." Uchiha Ming Jing had already changed his name for the old man in front of him. Uchiha Yu sat at the dining table with a smile on his face, looking at Ming Jing, who still had a childish look on his face. One meal has greatly brought the two of them closer together. "Well, my wife died early, and the incompetent one in the family died on the battlefield 20 years ago. I am the only one at home, so there is nothing to disturb me. But when you come here, I feel lively." Ming Jing was suddenly startled and stood up immediately. "Sorry, Grandpa Yu, I didn't mean to." Uchiha Yu waved his hand, interrupting Ming Jing's words. "I was the one who brought it up. You don't need to apologize. When your father graduated from the ninja school, the first generation of Sama had just passed away, and the ninja world war had not broken out. At that time, it was the police force that my son took him to. When I first graduated, my instructor happened to be your great-uncle. Speaking of which, our two families are family friends, so it's appropriate for you to call me Grandpa." Uchiha Yu looked at the mirror in front of him. If he had a grandson, he should be at least this old. He would be as polite and well-behaved as this brat, and he would be talented enough to become the pillar of Uchiha's future. "My uncle?" Ming Jing asked curiously. The original person seemed to have heard from his parents a long time ago that his great-uncle was a very powerful Uchiha, but he died not long after he was born. "Ah, speaking of which, his name is very similar to yours, called Uchiha Mirror. Like the current Hokage, he is a disciple of Senju Tobirama. He was also the most powerful Uchiha in the clan at the time. If it weren't for the fact that he was a Senju Tobirama, Tobirama's disciple, and Senju Tobirama is the murderer of Senju Senpai, so if he is opposed by some clan members, he might be the leader of the Uchiha clan. I remember that his son was named Uchiha Tatsu, but he didn't have much ninja talent. But last month, their family gave birth to a boy named Shisui." Speaking of this, Uchiha Yu fell into memories again. He is half a generation older than Uchiha Kage. When he became a Jonin, Uchiha Kage had just graduated. When Uchiha Kage became a Jonin, he was at his peak. But after Uchiha Kage reached his peak, he suddenly disappeared. Uchiha Mirror and Uchiha Shisui, they and I are actually relatively close relatives. And was the famous Shunshin Shisui just born this year? Okay, people like to reminisce when they get old. It's almost time. Today happens to be the day to attend the clan meeting. You can go with me." As for the tableware, it won't be too late to put it away when you get back. Uchiha stood up from the stool, patted his belly, put his hands behind his back, and walked out the door as if taking a walk. Behind him was Uchiha Mingjing, who looked like he was only as big as his grandson. Night falls. Nanga Shrine. Uchiha's clan meeting is about to begin. As the Junin of the 3 Magatama Sharingan, Uchiha has high qualifications and sits in the first row. The other people in the first and second rows are basically from the clan. An elder, or a strong Junin with 3 Magatama. A newcomer like Mingjing could only sit obediently in the last row. If he did not activate his Sharingan, he would not even be qualified to participate in the clan meeting. Uchiha Fugaku was carrying a replica Homura fan and Uchiha sickle on his back, standing tall. The real originals were taken away by Madara when he left Konoha 30 years ago, but not many people knew about it. The 2 weapons now are the former clan leader's expense to show his orthodoxy. A master from the craftsman ninja village was secretly hired at a large price and remade according to the forging method recorded in the clan. However, the power was not 1/10 of the original, and it was just a fake. According to the conversation I had with Uchiha Yu during the meal, clan gatherings like this, which are usually held once a month, are actually boring, because Uchiha cannot have major events every month. It is just how much the clan spends this month, and those how much money does the industry under Uchiha's name make. Or which family's children have opened the Sharingan, which family's ninjas have successfully advanced to Chunin and Jonin, and so on. They are all commonplace topics that can make people fall asleep. But this time, something is obviously different. The entire first half of the clan meeting was indeed as boring as Uchiha Yu said. Until Uchiha Fugaku began to summarize the list of clan members who died on the battlefield in the recent period. Among them are Chenji and Linai. These tribesmen are undoubtedly the heroes of the village and Uchiha. They have proved Uchiha's courage and glory with their lives. Every Uchiha present stood straight at this moment. For Uchiha, as long as it is about the reputation of Uchiha, the glory of Uchiha, the strength of Uchiha, etc., these people are easily excited, because everyone who has received orthodox Uchiha education will naturally develop a sense of mission and responsibility after knowing the glorious history of their family for thousands of years. Just like some people, after knowing the history of their country for 5,000 years, they will have an indescribable sense of belonging and pride. But, some people just want to tarnish the honor that our ancestors spent thousands of years and went through untold hardships to create for their own selfish desires. Many Uchiha in the audience looked at each other and exploded. Patriarch, what happened? Who is tarnishing the honor of Uchiha? ... Fugaku is very satisfied with the current reaction of these clansmen. The greater the reaction, the more beneficial it is to his plan. Fugaku, don't say something careless. Everyone here is an elite of the Uchiha clan. I believe that no one will do anything that will bring shame to the Uchiha clan. An Uchiha clan elder in his 50s seemed to sense something and spoke. His name is Uchiha Setsuna. After the death of the previous Uchiha clan leader, he took advantage of this opportunity and, on the grounds that the new clan leader was not experienced enough, took over a considerable portion of the clan's power with several senior elders. His intuition told him that Uchiha Fugaku was going to take action. Really, Elder Setsuna, why didn't the families of the members who died in the battle receive the pensions from the village and the clan? Uchiha Setsuna paused. How could he know that there were members who didn't receive the pensions? The financial power of the clan is now in the hands of other elders. And since it involves the pensions, this matter is probably quite sensitive. There are already many Uchiha who are emotionally shouting that they want to severely punish the scum who did this. He couldn't come forward to protect that person. And he himself was also angry about this. It's true that he tried to seize the power of the clan leader and make the clan leader empty, but he is also a typical Uchiha. Arrogant, unruly, fanatical about strength, and extremely proud of his own Uchiha bloodline. For those members who are disloyal, he would think that the other party has tarnished the noble honor of the Uchiha, and he would like to personally clean up the door. I don't know, but if someone really did something that would bring shame to Uchiha, I would tear him to pieces. At this point, Uchiha Setsuna opened his 3 Magatama Sharingan and expressed his opinion. Elder Setsuna is old, why do you need to do it yourself? After all, that person is also a powerful Jonin from my Uchiha. If you get hurt, it will be bad. Let me, a useless junior, take responsibility. After all, as the clan leader, it is legitimate to deal with these things. Are you right, Elder Ching? Uchiha Fugaku silently turned his gaze to an old man sitting at the end of the first row. This move attracted everyone to look at Uchiha Ching, and even more and more Uchiha opened their Sharingan and looked at him with scrutiny. Being stared at by so many red eyes, no matter who it is, will feel uncomfortable. Fugaku, are you doubting me? Uchiha Chiji, Uchiha Rina, Uchiha Han, Uchiha Hanha, Uchiha Junshu. Fugaku called out a series of names. Elder Ching has a good eye. He specifically picks those whose families are weak. Do you think that these people's families have not opened the Sharingan and have a low status in the clan? Even if you try to expose them, the final news will not be delivered to me, the clan leader. Fugaku's voice gradually changed from the original low to high, but it still carried the unique seriousness in his voice, making him look like he really had some of the majesty that the Uchiha clan leader should have. Don't you think that Uchiha is the Uchiha that you can cover the sky with one hand? You are wrong. Uchiha is the Uchiha that belongs to all Uchiha. Uchiha Fugaku carried the flame fan on his back and pointed at Uchiha Ching with his sickle. After hearing Fugaku's words, Uchiha Setsuna and several elders looked at each other with a gloomy look. They were angry that Uchiha had produced a scum like Uchiha Ching, and they also heard the sarcasm in Uchiha Fugaku's words, implying that these elders had usurped some power. You were right. Uchiha belongs to all Uchiha, not just your family. Uchiha Ching also blushed, pointing at Uchiha Fugaku and scolding. What qualifications do you have to be the clan leader? In terms of merit and seniority, how can you compare with us? Why, just because your father is also the clan leader. The character of Uchiha is that the sky is the boss and I am the second. They are all Uchiha with 3 Magatama Sharingan, and no one is willing to submit to anyone. But the current clan leader is not like the Warring States period, who has the Mangekyo Sharingan that can suppress everything. Naturally, these elders think that Uchiha Fugaku is not qualified to be the clan leader, so it is better for them to take over, so they join forces to try to fight for power. Elder Ching, I may not have done well enough as the clan leader, but I think my biggest dereliction of duty is that I failed to deal with scum like you in the clan in time. So as the clan leader, I think I need to wash away the shame on the Uchiha clan emblem with my own blood. Ninjas, after all, speak with strength. And Uchiha happens to be the group of people who believe in strength the most. Uchiha Ching knew that because of his momentary obsession, it would be difficult for him to walk out of here alive today, because no matter how he and Uchiha Fugaku fight, he will definitely be torn apart by those angry clan members. No one wants this kind of situation of being in a tight situation in the front and in the back to happen to their own family, because everyone has parents and children. A group of Uchiha surrounded Uchiha Fugaku and Uchiha Ching and came to the open space in front of Nanga Shrine. Because Uchiha Fugaku planned to kill Uchiha Ching in a one-on-one battle in person, he wanted to show his strength and establish prestige in front of all the clan members. According to the rules set by the first and second Hokage, people from the same village must make the seal of opposition to show respect before sparring with each other, and the seal of reconciliation after the sparring is over, but obviously, these 2 seals are not needed for this battle. Konoha, Uchiha clan land, open space in front of Nanga Shrine. A large group of Uchiha gathered at the edge of the open space, watching Uchiha Fugaku and Uchiha Ao fighting fiercely in the field. They gathered here to prevent Uchiha Ao from taking the opportunity to escape. Ming Jing. Uchiha Yu stood next to Ming Jing without knowing when. Use your Sharingan to watch carefully and learn carefully. This level of 3 Magatama Sharingan Uchiha's battle is of great reference significance to you. Uchiha Ming Jing heard this and obediently opened his Sharingan to watch the battle in the field. However, these 2 people are extremely agile Jonins, and even among the Jonins, they are considered strong. Even if he opened his Sharingan, he could only barely see the general idea. That is, what ninjutsu Uchiha Fugaku used, how Uchiha Ching responded, and so on. With his current ninja quality, he still couldn't see the deeper details. At this time, Uchiha Yu began to stand aside and explain in a low voice. Although he was old, he had been a Jonin for decades, and his eyes were still vicious. He pointed out many key details that Mingjing could understand and absorb when the two fought. It seems that Fugaku's strength is not bad, and Qing should lose. After watching for a few minutes, Uchiha Yu touched his beard and nodded, and seemed to approve of the performance of Uchiha Fugaku, the clan leader. He is considered the tallest among the short ones. Although he cannot compare with the previous clan leaders who opened the Mangekyo Sharingan, the current Fugaku is indeed the most suitable person to be the clan leader of the Uchiha clan. But in Mingjing's eyes, Uchiha Qing was still confronting Uchiha Fugaku and the situation was deadlocked. As if seeing Mingjing's doubts, Uchiha Yu explained. For an Uchiha, the most important means of fighting are fire escape and Sharingan. Generally, the battles between Uchiha are basically determined by these 2 points. In terms of Sharingan, both sides have 3 Magatama, and there is no qualitative difference. In terms of fire escape, although Uchiha Qing is experienced, Fugaku has actually completed the control of the nature and form changes of fire escape. From this aspect alone, he is already an elite among the Jonin. In fact, his hard power is still 1 level higher than Uchiha Qing. In addition, the latter is aging, and the quality and quantity of chakra are no longer at their peak. As long as Fugaku sticks to the basics, the victory of this battle will definitely be Fugaku. The current fierce fight is just that Uchiha Qing knows that he will die, and the trapped beast is still fighting. Mingjing nodded as if he understood. His intuition told him that Fugaku's idea of using Uchiha Ao to establish his prestige was a good one, but the effect might not be very good. Although his strength was considered strong among the Jonin, coupled with his young age, he could guarantee the stability of the family to a certain extent, but he wanted to be the head of the Uchiha clan, the head of the first powerful family in the ninja world who advocated strength, and the head of the Uchiha clan that was deliberately targeted and suppressed by the Konoha high level. Without the Mangekyo, or the strength comparable to the 5 Kage, it would be impossible to truly integrate all the strength of the Uchiha clan internally, because the Uchiha clan only believed in strength. The real crushing level of strength. Otherwise, even if you beat him, these unruly and stubborn Uchiha would still not accept it. Uchiha Ao did lose in the end, but his counterattack before his death seemed to have caused some damage to Fugaku, which greatly reduced the effect of the latter's establishment of prestige this time. His pair of 3 Magatama Sharingan were also taken back by Fugaku in public. The matter seemed to be over. But the subsequent impact of the incident was far from over. Next, the main issue was how to divide the power that originally belonged to Uchiha Qing, Uchiha Fugaku and Uchiha Setsuna. When Mingjing returned home after helping wash the dishes at Uchiha Yu's house, he saw the old servant who had been with Fugaku waiting at the door of his house. "Excuse me, Mingjing, this is the pension issued by the village to you. The amount is 500,000 taels, and this is an additional subsidy of 300,000 taels from the clan. In addition, there is an additional 100,000 taels of silver given by the clan leader." The old servant took out 3 bulging folders and handed them to Mingjing. "The clan leader had something to do, so he asked me to do this, and also asked me to tell you that I hope you can realize your talent as soon as possible and serve the family." Mingjing will never forget the kindness of the clan leader. Mingjing respectfully invited the old man out. "Tisk, this Uchiha Fugaku is really willing to spend money to win me over." Mingjing couldn't help muttering while stroking the banknotes in his hand. Of course, he knew that Uchiha Fugaku was so caring for him because he saw his talent, and he would probably use this as a typical example to promote the image of a good clan leader who cares about the younger generation of the clan. The Uchiha clan is still strong now, and Konoha is facing external threats, so the village is relatively stable. Although many people in the village don't like the tough style of the police force in law enforcement, it is far from being hated by people, and the situation of the Uchiha clan is still acceptable. The main contradiction of the Uchiha clan now is the contradiction between the old clan elders who are unwilling to give up their power and the newly appointed clan leader Uchiha Fugaku. If Uchiha Fugaku really wants to become a powerful clan leader, he must have a sufficient number of ironclad direct descendants to support him. Nowadays, it has been unknown how many years since the last Uchiha opened the Mangekyo Sharingan. The next Mangekyo, Uchiha Fugaku himself, will not open it until the Third World War, and he has never really shown it to others until his death. The next Uchiha who will open the Mangekyo is Uchiha Shisui, who was born last month. During this period of time, I opened the Sharingan when I was only 10 years old, which is very outstanding. In addition, I am still young and have strong plasticity. Uchiha Fugaku must hope to train me into his direct line. However, in Mingjing's opinion, if Fugaku really wants to become the kind of Uchiha clan leader he imagines, it may be difficult. Regardless of the fact that Fugaku's strength is much worse than that of the previous clan leaders, his indecisive character alone is not suitable for being a leader. Good at making plans but no decision, this is what people like him are like. They often have abilities that seem quite good to outsiders, and can handle most things well, but when faced with truly major events, they don't have enough courage to solve them, and drag things out until the end, causing the situation to deteriorate to the extreme. Not to mention, the Konoha high-level officials will not sit idly by and watch someone really integrate the power of the Uchiha and threaten their authority. However, Uchiha Fugaku is indeed good to me. If I have the ability in the future, I still have to find a way to repay this favor. 2 days passed in a flash. For Mingjing, these 2 days are nothing more than continuing to practice and familiarize himself with the ninjutsu that he has mastered. When he is free, he will visit Uchiha Yu, the old man who can give him a lot of guidance. The third day, that is, the third day after the graduation examination, is the day for the current class of Genin. Because the 4th and 5th grades graduate at the same time, the class division is also carried out in the same batch. In other words, there may be graduates from the 4th grade and the 5th grade in one class. If Mingjing's previous guess is correct, then this should be done to divert according to the previous assessment results. Those with potential and background, whether they are 4th year or 5th year graduates, will be guided by Jonin and cultivated as Jonin seeds. For example, in the original Naruto class, according to Kakashi, there were only 27 graduates, but Konoha, as a country's military corps and military force training base, could not produce more than 20 genin in a year. The real situation should be that these 27 people are more valued and are trained by Jonin. And if there are those who are slightly worse, there should be special Jonin to lead the team, and there is a high probability that they will become the backbone of Konoha village in the future. But if you have neither talent nor background, then you will probably have only Chunin to lead the team, and you will not learn anything. You will have to be dragged into the battlefield early as cannon fodder, and your life or death will depend on it. First class, K's Matsui Tai, Inuzuka Clause, Hinata Temen. In the large classroom of the ninja school, Kurono Ofen held a list and read out the results of this class assignment. I didn't expect that the first one would be me, Mr. Jing. Jing Tai, I didn't expect that we could still be teammates after being divided into classes. It's a pity that Mingjing is not here. We three are obviously the best friends. Yeah, Wait, Hyuga Tetsuman, why do you look exactly the same as the Hinata Kinman who hit me during the graduation exam? On the other side of the classroom, where the 5th grade graduates were, they were clearly separated from the 4th grade students. Among them, a boy with white eyes open and covering his forehead with a forehead protector silently watched everything that happened in front of him with no expression on his face. Second shift. The third class, Class 9, Aburame Nami, Inuzuka, and Uchiha Akira. Finally, Mingjing also heard his name. As for the other two teammates, he had never heard of them. They should be graduates 1 year older than him, but from their names, he knew that they actually had backgrounds. After everyone was divided into classes, their respective leading ninjas came to the classroom to pick up their team members. Leading Jingta and the others was a middle-aged Junin whom Mingjing did not recognize. As for Spiegel and the others, members of Class 9, meet with me under the tree on the playground. A handsome man with long light blue hair and a handsome face stood at the door, attracting everyone's attention. Especially all the women here, because this guy is really handsome. Kato Dan, the former examiner in the graduation examination. In the playground, beside the big tree, the loud chirping of cicadas sounded from the tree. Under the shade of the tree, Kato Dan looked at the 3 students in front of him with a smile on his face, thinking of the time when he had just graduated from the ninja school. Well, let's introduce ourselves first, such as what your dreams are, what you like to do, and what you don't like to do. As the leader of the team, let me start this. Kato pointed to himself. My name is Kato Dan, a Jonin. My dream is to become Hokage. What I like is watching the stars with the people I like. There is nothing I don't like. Now, it's your turn. I'll go first. A boy with thick hair, holding a silver white half-sized puppy in his arms, and with oil paint on his face raised his hand. He is Inuzuka. Next to him is a girl who also wears a hood and sunglasses in the summer, that is, another teammate of Mingjing, Aburame Nami. The two of them are 1 year older than Mingjing, and they are also the best among the former 5th grade ninja school students. My name is Inuzuka Rui. I dream of becoming Hokage like my teacher. But since my teacher also wants to be, let me be the 4th generation and I will be the 5th generation. My favorite thing is walking with Tetsumaru. I hate dogs. I don't like dogs. People. Tetsumaru, who was in Inuzuka's arms, also howled twice. It's a great dream and hobby. What about you two? Kato Suan looked at Mingjing and Aburame Nami with a smile. Nami Aburame loves bugs. There is nothing she doesn't like. Her dream is to discover more new varieties of bugs. Aburame Nami's words are quite brief, and her hobbies and aspirations are very consistent with her origins. What about you? Mirror. Kato Dan turned his handsome face to the mirror again, thinking of what Hiruzen Sarutobi, who had led the ninja troops to the north to fight Kumogakure, told him. Now the gap between Uchiha and the village has not been eliminated. The 3rd generation hopes to pass on the will of fire to the extremely talented Uchiha in front of him and eliminate this gap, just like Uchiha, the former disciple of the 2nd generation Hokage. Like a mirror. My name is Mingjing. What I like is practicing ninjutsu quietly. There are many things I hate, but the most annoying thing is probably when someone comes to disturb my quiet ninjutsu practice. Mingjing said casually. As for ambition, there was a slight pause in Mingjing's words. Be a Hokage. This is very will of fire and is absolutely politically correct in Konoha. However, you'd better not really have the talent or ability to become Hokage, otherwise the fate of White Fang, Kato Dan, and Nezuki in the original work will serve as a lesson to others. But even so, I still have to shout some correct slogans. Probably to become a powerful ninja, to protect the family and the village, and everything you cherish. They are all very good dreams. Kato Duan crossed his arms and the smile never seemed to leave his face. Tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning, I will take you to conduct a practical exercise, but there is still a lot of time today, so why not let me treat you to a barbecue together? Inuzuka Hiko and Tetsumaru let out excited screams. Nami pushed up her glasses indifferently, and Mingjing glanced at the two teammates beside her, thinking silently. Among the two teammates, Inuzuka's personality is the more cheerful and passionate. Mingjing hopes that he will not be a brainless, passionate idiot like Naruto in the early days. Without the halo of the protagonist, this kind of person is the easiest to deceive his teammates. As for Aburame Nami, she seems to be quiet and has a low presence, which is quite consistent with the impression of the Aburame clan in Mingjing's memory, but it still needs to be observed carefully. However, it is certain that my mentor is Kato Dan, which is good news. Although I don't know the specific strength of my Jonin, according to the original plot in my memory, this person is also qualified to be on the list of candidates for Hokage like Orochimaru and others. Even if his strength is not at the level of Hokage, it is not far away. And it seems that Kato Dan is also a person with a good personality. I just don't know if I have been assigned to his subordinates and have been noticed by the Konoha high level, or the 3rd generation. It is also worth noting that my mentor is going to sacrifice in this ninja world war. If I have the ability to intervene at that time, I will try my best to save him. The morning of summer always comes very early. However, at 5 o'clock, the sky has become very bright. But this has nothing to do with Mingjing, because the party at the barbecue restaurant last night lasted until very late, and he was just woken up by the overly loud cicadas outside the house. Although Aburame Nami is not very outgoing, Inuzuka Ryo is quite lively, and although Kato Dan looks like a quiet handsome man, his actual personality is also very cheerful and sunny. With these two people adjusting the atmosphere, Mingjing felt that he had a pretty good time last night. Fortunately, the time for the actual combat exercise set by Kato Dan was 9 o'clock in the morning, leaving enough time for rest. Mingjing, Nami, Lu. At the training ground on the 14th, a blue-haired handsome man leaning against a big tree waved to Mingjing and others who were fully armed. This person is Kato Dan. Ming Jing brought a wakizashi today, which he bought with the 100,000 taels that Fugaku had funded a few days ago. One is that the price of the wakizashi is cheaper than the regular tachi, and the other is that the blade of the tachi is too long and is not suitable for the current Ming Jing's body shape. After several days of practice and Uchiha Yu's guidance, he has now barely mastered the first part of the Uchiha-style swordsmanship book. According to Uchiha Yu, the entire first chapter of Uchiha Ryu Kenjutsu is laying the foundation for the next chapter. And if you can use Uchiha-style swordsmanship to the extreme, it will be enough to become the top powerhouse in the ninja world. However, rather than polishing swordsmanship, most Uchiha will be more inclined to improve their Sharingan as a way to enhance their combat power. Main method. Teacher Kato, what are the requirements for the actual combat exercise? Tetsumaru and I are ready. Inuzuka looked like he couldn't wait to show off his skills, and the iron balls under his feet also screamed and ran among the crowd as if they were having fun. The task of today's actual combat exercise is this. Kato Dan stretched out his hand and shook the 2 bells in his hand at his 3 subordinates. It was indeed a grab for the bell. Ming Jing secretly thought that this was indeed the case. This can be regarded as an old tradition in Konoha. It was first invented by the 3rd-generation Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen to emphasize the need for unity and cooperation. Later it was passed on to Minato by Jiraiya, who passed it on to Kakashi, and finally Kaka. It was passed on to Naruto and others, and more concepts were derived. Because grabbing the bell can indeed play a role in measuring the various abilities and attitudes of these newly graduated genin, it has already spread among the instructing jonin. It is estimated that at the same time, Judah and the others were also following the leading Junin to grab the bell. The goal of the exercise is to get these 2 bells from my hand. Only those who get them are qualified. A bright smile appeared on Kato Dan's face again, but it looked like a bit of a bad smile no matter how you looked at it. Meaning, only 2 of us can qualify. Aburame Nami pushed up her sunglasses and said. Kato Suan smiled and nodded. Nami is right. So now, you can start. Nami also has excellent sneak attack skills, but it won't be of much use against Jonin. As Kato Dan spoke, he suddenly turned around and avoided the sneak attack from a palm composed of black insects behind him. Yoshi, have you started? Tuin, let's. Zhao, wait a minute. Ming Jing reached out and pressed the shoulders of Inuzuka and Nami, signaling them not to be impulsive yet. Teacher Kato is a Jonin. With our strength, if we don't adopt appropriate tactics and attack hard from the front, we will definitely not be able to achieve results. Before that, we should try to reduce redundant temptations as much as possible to avoid exposing our own intelligence. Quote. Inuzuka Ruo scratched his head and felt that what Ming Jing said seemed to make some sense. Oh, you really don't decide to test it out. In this case, although I don't know your information, you don't know mine either. What's more, the examiner of your previous graduation examination was me. Do you think that I do you really not know your information? Quote. Kato Dan looked at Ming Jing and others with a teasing smile on his face. He wanted to know how Ming Jing and the others would react at the next moment. Kato-sensei. Ming Jing looked at Kato Suan's blue eyes and said. An elder in the clan taught me some experience. Testing is itself a part of tactics, and knowing that the enemy knows part of your information is also an important piece of information. When Uchiha Yu was bragging about his achievements when he was young, he mentioned some experiences in this area to him. Although it was slightly different from what Ming Jing said, the actual content was the same, so Ming Jing was not talking nonsense. Well, it seems that you have a great elder, Ming Jing, but how long will it take for you to discuss tactics? Forget it, I'll give you an hour, I'll go and take a rest and then come back. After saying that, Kato Dan put his hands behind his head and walked away slowly. Ming Jing immediately understood that this was Kato Dan deliberately finding an excuse to leave, giving himself and others sufficient time to prepare tactics. Afterwards, Ming Jing took Inuzuka and Aburame Nami to a remote corner to discuss. Let's share the information we've collected first. Aburame Nami, who had always been a man of few words, was actually the first to speak up. Inuzuka, who was rubbing Tetsumaru's head, was stunned for a moment. He didn't even think about gathering intelligence or anything. Sensei Dan's reputation in the village is actually very great. According to my father, He is one of the few Jonin in the village who is only inferior to the White Fang of Konoha. He has completed 22 S-level missions, 103 A-level missions, and B-level missions. There are 211 missions. There is no need to talk about C-level and D-level. In short, just from the mission resume, it can be seen that Mr. Dan is indeed the best ninja in the village. It is difficult to get the bell from him. It's much more difficult for ordinary Junin. Aburame Nami spoke in one breath, as if she wanted to make up for what she had not said before, and she also seemed to want to say what she needed to say in one breath, so that she would not need to speak anymore. The information I collected is similar to Nami's, but it is said that Teacher Dan is very good at some forbidden techniques, but I think he should not use them on us. At least Teacher Dan conducted such an assessment on us, which means that he will definitely give us a chance to pass. Next, everyone should first tell us about the abilities they have mastered to formulate a suitable set of tactics. Mingjing glanced at Nami Aburame and Ryo Inuzuka and said. Of course, he knew that the purpose of snatching bells, an old tradition of Konoha, was to test the importance of teamwork. And now that Hatake Tsukumo has not been in trouble, this test has not yet derived the meaning of the importance of companions. Knowing what Kato Dan wants to do, as long as his teammates don't mess around, Mingjing still has considerable confidence that he can lead the team through this small assessment. However, judging from the current situation, his two teammates are not problem teenagers. Nami Aburame is a man of few words, and although Ryo Inuzuka is also a carefree and extroverted person, he has a good family background and has obviously received a good education, so he is not as noisy as Naruto. If his team is really like Team 7 or Minato's team in the future, with too many people with overly prominent personalities, it would be very troublesome to get them to work together. If the characters are brilliant and it is a wartime, their ability to survive on the battlefield would be questionable. After 1 hour, Kato Dan walked into the training ground on the edge of the forest with a leisurely pace. How about it, can we start? Kato Dan still squinted his eyes with a smile on his face. Teacher Kato, from the moment you walked into this training ground, the battle has already begun. Uchiha Mingjing also had a smile on his face, casually took out the kunai and threw it into the woods around him. The kunai made a whirring sound in midair, and the sharp blade cut through the rope, nailing it to the tree trunk without losing force. The next moment, countless bamboos with sharpened tips flew out from the depths of the forest and flew towards Kato Dan. Oh, is it a trap? It's a nice arrangement. Kato Dan's words were good, but his body quickly moved around in place to avoid those bamboo thorns. These traps are of little use to Junin, not to mention that even if Kato Dan does not use the spiritual transformation technique, his overall strength can be regarded as an elite among the Junin of Konoha. Nami, let's go, Mingjing yelled, then quickly threw a few shurikens, and used steel wires to control Kato Dan. The Inuzuka squirrel screamed and rushed forward with a kunai. Born into the Inuzuka clan, he has quite good physical skills. Behind him was a large insect cloud formed by the insects released by Aburame Nami. Traps, shurikens, taijutsu, bugs. In a short period of time, Mingjing and others launched 4 waves of attacks. From Kato Dan's point of view, the attack power and coordination of this kind of attack are already quite good among genin, not to mention that these 3 people have only known each other for a day. At that moment, he thought to himself, however, the village is very optimistic about the future of you young people and believes that you have the potential to grow into Junin. If this ability alone is not enough, quote, that's it, nothing else, come up with some more surprises. Kato smiled teasingly, knocked away the shuriken with a kunai, and quickly exchanged a few moves with the Inuzuka, and finally knocked it down and threw it out, scattering the swarm of insects gathered in the air. This isn't over yet, Kato-sensei. Inuzuka Kiba, who was knocked away, screamed, then crawled to the ground like a beast, his limbs exuding light blue chakra. This is the basic ninjutsu of the Inuzuka clan, the 4-legged technique. Because Tetsumuru is still only a half-grown puppy and lacks combat capabilities, Tuin can only choose some ninjutsu that can be used by himself alone. Fortunately, he is not like the future Inuzuka Kiba, a guy who can compete with Naruto. He is very talented. He has already started to practice some basic family ninjutsu before he graduated, and he can master it now. Take action. With the blessing of the 4 legs technique, he was finally able to sustain 2 more moves under Kato Dan's hand. At this time, Ming Jing also opened his Sharingan, pinched the elastic cord with both hands, and even bit one in his mouth, and even more dazzlingly controlled the shurikens flying in the air. Relying on the fine control of the Sharingan, he was confident that he could control these shurikens to attack Kato-dan without hurting the Inuzuka. Sharingan Windmill 3 Great Swords. Excellent shuriken skills, I should say he is worthy of being an Uchiha. Seeing this, Kato-duan couldn't help but sigh in admiration. When it comes to playing shuriken, Uchiha is indeed the strongest in the ninja world. But that's not enough. Kato-dan still felt that he didn't see enough tacit teamwork that he really wanted to see, so he decided to increase the pressure a little more, and the speed of his hands increased to another level. After 2 moves, he kicked Inuzuka Kazu away with 1 kick, and at the same time worried that Ming Jing would do some shuriken tricks again, he rushed forward quickly. The next moment, another swarm of insects stood in front of Kato-dan. And when Kato-duanfang avoided these insects, he saw groups of thin flames burning like impatiens flying towards him. Fire Release. Phoenix Immortal Fire Technique. It was you who used ninjutsu first, Ming Jing. Kato-dan smiled and quickly formed seals with his hands. Wind Release. Wind Cut Technique. Although wind escape is restrained by fire escape, this also depends on the strength gap between the two sides. Under Kato-dan's precise control, each flame was cut open with extremely fine precision by the wind blade. But at the next moment, there were another group of insects flying in circles towards Kato-dan with strange movements. Is this, you want to cover my sight so that you can launch your next plan? Kato became a little more interested and nodded secretly. Now it looks like there is a bit of teamwork. This is not just to cover your sight, Mr. Kato. In the sight of the mirror Sharingan, these swarms of bugs were pulling extremely thin threads behind them. This was why the flying trajectories of these bugs were weird. The reason for using these threads is Fire Release Dragon Fire Technique. The special fireproof steel wire is combined with kerosene to form lines of fire that quickly rush towards Kato-duan. At the end of the steel wire, there is a special fireproof coating to avoid hurting the insects. Of course, even so, under the influence of high temperature, these bugs will definitely not be able to sustain for too long, but if they can achieve some results, this loss will be nothing. Genius Tactical Design. Kato-dan looked at the fire lines around him with admiration on his face, not caring at all that he had almost no space to hide under these large-scale fire lines. Of course, he didn't need to hide. The moment the hot fire line touched Kato-dan, Kato-dan dissipated into a ball of white smoke with a bang. Shadow Clone. However, Inuzuka Ryo and Aburame Nami were both ninjas with excellent reconnaissance capabilities. As soon as they reacted, they found Kato-dan's hiding place. As Tuan called out to a nearby jungle, Ming Jing turned around and drew his sword very smoothly, trying to attack together with Inuzuka Ryo. And behind them, there were a large number of insects controlled by Aburame Nami to provide cover and assistance. However, as one of the current Konoha Jonin, Kato-dan, even though physical skills were not his best, was still not comparable to a few 10-year-old genin, and kicked Ming Jing away in a few moves. At this time, the importance of the auxiliary Aburame Nami was reflected. A large group of insects condensed into an insect shield, blocking Ming Jing. Even though this insect shield only lasted for a short time, it was defeated by Kato-dan. However, this time was enough for Ming Jing to complete 6 seals. Ryo, get out of the way. Ming Jing shouted to remind his teammates, and then opened his mouth and spit out a ball of flames. Fire Style. Great Fireball Technique. The huge, blazing fireball quickly shot towards Kato-dan. Young people nowadays are really amazing. The smile on Kato-dan's face became even stronger. Up to now, Ming Jing has demonstrated multiple sea-level fire escape ninjutsu, and is proficient in shuriken, and his combat quality is also good. These alone are no worse than many chunin. According to Kato-dan's perspective, Ming Jing lacks sufficient practical experience and other systematic combat capabilities to become a real chunin. As long as he spends a few months to make up for these, he can be regarded as an excellent chunin combat force. Being able to learn so many fire escape ninjutsu at this age, it can only be said that this disciple is worthy of being an Uchiha who has opened the Sharingan. No wonder he is considered the most outstanding Uchiha genius in recent years. Those super standard geniuses are basically successfully promoted to Chunin within 1 year of graduation, because their comprehensive quality is not far from Chunin, and they only need to make up for a small part of the lack of practical experience, situation judgment ability, simple command and combat, and the ability to guide team cooperation. Moreover, after becoming a Chunin, their strength will grow rapidly in the next few years. They can become a Jonin at the age of about 13 or 14. If they can continue to maintain this speed of progress, they may reach the level of Kage before the peak of the ninja. While Kato Dan was full of admiration in his heart, he did not forget to deal with the huge fireball in front of him. He kicked Inuzuka Ryo out with one foot, and then quickly formed a few seals and released a wind escape big breakthrough to block it. The flames and the strong wind collided with each other, rolling out a rolling hot air wave around, and Nami's insects could not get close at all. Ouch! Mingjing was in a stalemate with Kato Dan using ninjutsu, while Inuzuka Ryo on the other side fell to the ground. Woof woof. Tuin ran over happily wagging his tail and licked Inuzuka Ryo's face with his tongue. After stroking Tuin's dog head, Inuzuka Ryo looked at Mingjing, who was gradually losing in the ninjutsu battle, and suddenly turned his head to Tuin beside him. Teacher Kato, you are not the only one who knows this ninjutsu. Mingjing opened his Sharingan and could naturally see that he was at an absolute disadvantage in the ninjutsu clash with Kato Dan, but fortunately, during the graduation test a few days ago, he had already copied the Moonlight Cyclone's wind-style great breakthrough. Fortunately, when he used the chakra test paper to test it afterwards, Mingjing also confirmed that his chakra attributes were 3 attributes of wind, thunder and fire, which happened to be able to use this wind-style. Wind-style great breakthrough. The strong wind surged, pushing the fireball forward again. The wind helped the fire, and the momentum became much stronger for a while. Kato Dan nodded secretly with satisfaction. The performance of this class of students is very good. Mingjing is not to be mentioned. The strength of the other two is also top-notch among the newly graduated genin. From the previous battle, the 3 of them also consciously cooperated as a team, but the degree of tacit understanding was still slightly insufficient. Just when Kato Dan felt that the assessment was almost over and it was time to let them grab the bell, Inuzuka Ryo suddenly rushed over, quickly spinning his body while running, and turned into a tornado to attack Kato Dan. Tongya, are you planning to sneak attack while I am being stalemate by Mingjing's ninjutsu? Kato Dan smiled and shook his head, and then formed a seal with his hands again. Earth escape earth flow wall. The strong wind carrying the fireball hit the thick and solid earth wall heavily, shaking off a lot of debris, but the main body of the earth wall was basically intact. After blocking Mingjing's ninjutsu, Kato Dan quickly formed a seal with his left hand, and a ball of rock spread out on his right hand to cover his palm, then clenched into a fist, trying to block Inuzuka Kiba while knocking him away. As a Jonin, he generally mastered at least 2 types of chakra attribute changes, and Kato Dan was no exception. His chakra attributes were wind, fire, and earth, and he had a good attainment in these 3 types of ninjutsu. However, what was unexpected was that Inuzuka Kiba threw a white-haired ball in his arms forward fiercely at the moment before he was knocked away. Tuin's small body twisted lightly in the air, stretched out his mouth, and snatched the bell hanging from Kato Dan's waist in his mouth. Great victory! Inuzuka Ryo jumped up from the ground excitedly, holding Tuin, who came to ask for credit with the bell in his mouth, high up. I knew that this technique I invented, Super Yutong Ya Infinite Cycle Yutong Jutsu, would definitely work wonders, ha 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 ha. Inuzuka Ryo laughed excitedly and took the bell handed over by Tuin. You are quite capable, my lovely subordinates. Kato Dan crossed his arms and said with a smile. Being able to master the art of spiritualization, his mental ability is extremely strong, so he also has a good perception ability, otherwise he would not lead such a team that is good at reconnaissance. Inuzuka Ryo and Aburame Nami's family ninjutsu both have extremely strong reconnaissance capabilities. Mingjing's Sharingan is much worse in this regard, but when arranging the classes, Mingjing is positioned as the main combatant to supplement the combat power of this team. But there are only 2 bells, and there are only 3 of you, how should we divide them? Kato Dan's face showed an expression of watching a show. Ryo, give me a bell. Mingjing looked at Inuzuka Ryo and suddenly said loudly. Hearing this, Nami Aburame lowered her head silently. Inuzuka Ryo looked at Mingjing, then at Nami Aburame, at a loss. According to the performance, he and Tetsumaru finally took the bell from Kato Dan, and Mingjing was the one who took the most pressure in the whole battle. Logically, he should have won, but touch the shrinking one. Mingjing shook his head, snatched a bell from Inuzuka Ryo's hand, pulled out the wakizashi, and cut it in two. This is yours. Mingjing stuffed half of the bell into Nami Abarame's hand, and turned to look at Kato Dan. Teacher Kato, now the three of us have the bells snatched from you, so it should be considered passed. After all, half a bell is still a bell. Hearing this, Nami Abarame silently clenched the bell in her hand and raised her head. Ah, of course. The smile on Kato Dan's face became a little stronger. Third generation master, it seems that even without me, this child has already comprehended part of the will of fire passed down by the first generation master. Congratulations on passing my test, then I will announce something next. Kato Dan clapped his hands and emphasized the students' attention. Tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, gather at the square in front of the Hokage building and be ready to accept your first mission as a ninja. Before receiving the first task, Inuzuka looked quite excited. But after completing several tasks, he completely lost his enthusiasm for these tasks. After completing dozens of D-level missions, he became even more numb. Mainly because the new Genin's missions were always boring. Either catching cats and walking dogs, or weeding and delivering goods. In addition, during this process, if you receive some tasks such as collecting herbs on the cliff or cleaning up the sediment in the river, the guiding Junin will be there. This process teaches chakra control techniques such as climbing trees and treading water. If you cannot master these techniques quickly, it means that your talent in chakra manipulation is not very good. In the future, there is a high probability that I will spend more than 10 or 20 years accumulating merit and qualifications, see if I am lucky enough to learn a few good ninjutsu, and finally get involved in it when I am in my 30s or 40s, at the peak of my life. Tolerance title. The premise is, don't die on the way. The soul of Mingjing itself is the fusion of the souls of two people. In addition, as Uchiha opened the Sharingan, his spiritual energy will not be much different. The powerful innate spiritual power played a big role in this process. At least whether it's climbing a tree or treading water, it can be easily mastered. Abarame Nami usually has to control so many bugs at the same time, so her mental ability is not bad. Even Inuzuka is a talented person and quickly learned these two essential skills for ninjas. Well, the next mission is to help Aunt Akita on Deshung Street in the east of the village take care of her 2-year-old son. Kato Dan held a mission scroll in his hand and read it carefully word for word. Ah, I just helped Uncle Jugong clean up the weeds in the field, why is the next task to take care of a child? Inuzuka lay weakly on the ground and complained. This was really different from the ninja life he imagined. Abarame Nami and Mingjing were listening to the mission seriously. The former is because his character is like this, while the latter is prepared for it. After all, this is an old tradition of Konoha. I guessed that your character would not want to do this task, so I took on 2 more tasks, just so you can each take one. A smirk appeared on Kato Dan's face. Uncle Kadota got sprained when he was working yesterday. I hope someone can help him walk his dog. This task is very suitable for Nara. The Nara family's shop needs help from people to collect medicinal materials in the forest. This is also suitable for Nami's insects. As for Mingjing, I leave it to you to take care of the children. So, Mr. Kato, why do you always leave these most annoying things to me? I really have no experience in raising children. Mingjing put his hand on his forehead and couldn't help complaining. Kato Dan looked at Mingjing's expression with interest. The student in front of him, not surprisingly, should be the most talented one among his 3 disciples. With Kato Dan's attainments in ninjutsu such as soul, spirit, and perception, it is impossible not to notice that Mingjing's huge spiritual power is innately different from ordinary people. Coupled with the blood stains of the Sharingan and Uchiha's family background, his future is uncertain. Limited quantity. However, Kato Dan could also feel the deep impatience, uneasiness, and fear hidden deep in Mingjing's powerful mental power. These are things that Mingjing himself has not noticed. After all, as a modern person, the front foot has just become a reincarnation inexplicably. He has not accepted a single mission, and suddenly traveled to the world of Naruto. It is actually normal to hide this kind of mentality. After Kato Dan also learned about Ming Jing's life experience, he thought he understood everything, so he hoped to polish Ming Jing's impetuous heart through these seemingly tedious tasks. Otherwise, no matter how talented you are, you will easily die when you set out on the battlefield with this kind of mentality. In addition, Kato Dan also thought it was quite fun to bully his disciples. Of course, Kato Dan would not tell the truth, but opened his mouth and said, "Well, there is nothing we can do about it. To be honest, I think our team's strength and tacit cooperation are enough to take on higher-level missions. However, the number of D-level missions has not reached the standard, and there is no Hokage. There is no way to participate in those high-level missions without the approval. I am doing this to get the number of missions for our team as soon as possible." Quote, "Taking into account the specialties of Rui and Nami, I would naturally choose this kind of task that can be solved quickly by leaving it to them." Kato Dan's tone seemed quite innocent. "Hey, okay." Ming Jing could only shake his head helplessly. Time passes like this little by little. 2 months flew by. Under the control of Kato Dan, Kato's squad's cumulative completion speed of D-level tasks was more than twice that of other teams. Although there is often a division of labor, Kato Dan sometimes chooses some tasks that can exercise teamwork and involve intelligence collection, etc. for the 3 people in the team to work together to complete. Even if the training team cooperation here is to contain and capture the escaped stray cats of the daimyo's daughter, the intelligence collection is to help the owner of the izakaya collect information on the sake market on the market. During the day-to-day mission life, Ming Jing gradually calmed down his impetuous heart hidden under the calm appearance under the special guidance of Kato Dan. Perhaps it is because the members of the team have developed enough tacit understanding in the past 2 months, or perhaps because the main combat forces in the village have been transferred to the front line, and the number of people who can come out to do the task is scarce. Therefore, in only 2.5 months after the team was established, Kato Dan successfully received a C-level mission from Kaharu, the 3rd-generation agent in government affairs. "Is this the goal of our mission this time?" Ming Jing held a photo and looked at the dark-faced, tall middle-aged man in front of him and asked. 4 months ago, a secret team from Sunagakur village sneaked into the country of fire to perform a mission similar to sabotaging the rear, and attacked the ironstone town located in the west of the country of fire, which greatly weakened the local defense force. Later, miners used it to at this opportunity, a riot broke out, they attacked the local nobles' mansions, and robbed a large amount of supplies. They went to the mountains to become bandits and robbed the nearby people. This man is called Ichiro Okamoto, and he is the leader of this group of bandits. The goal of the mission is to solve these tasks. At the same time, bring the supplies back and deliver them to the Ishihara family in Daming Mansion. Kato Dan held up the mission scroll and introduced the ins and outs of this mission. C-level missions are usually tasks such as escorting caravans, transporting materials and documents, and clearing out bandits. The enemies encountered are mostly ordinary people who do not know ninjutsu, and at most they are strong guards and samurai. Once it is confirmed that the opponent encountered is a ninja who has chakra and can use it skillfully, the level of the mission will be upgraded to B level. Logically speaking, Kato class has only been established for 3 months, and it is not yet time to accept C-level missions. Even if it is to be done, it is mostly simple tasks such as escorting transportation. However, on the one hand, most of Konoha's forces are on the front line at this time, and there is a shortage of manpower. On the other hand, Kato Dan personally believes that these students of his are different from ordinary students. Not only have their strengths reached a good level, but their ability to cooperate in a team is also sufficient. It is time to let them see blood. Great, C-level mission. Finally, I don't have to weed. Inuzuka Ryo was very excited. He jumped up from the ground and revived with full blood. Tuin, who was also lying on the ground, also made the same action in a very synchronous manner. Teacher Duan. Ming Jing turned his eyes away from the mission scroll and looked at Kato Duan. According to the intelligence on the mission, the elite team of Sand Village attacked here 4 months ago. Is it possible that they will stay or return there? Being able to cross the long border defense line on the front line and penetrate into the interior of the Land of Fire, their strength must not be something that the 3 of us can contend with. This is not a big problem. Kato Duan smiled and said. First of all, because the mines in Tishi Town are an important production base for smelting ninja tools. The village also attaches great importance to this team. As early as 3 months ago, the youngest ninja in the village, Minato Namikaze, led the team to defeat it and eliminated its main force. It is relatively safe. Even if you really encounter it, I, the ninja, will back you up. As long as you don't encounter a strong man at the level of the 5 cage, I still have the confidence to protect you. The opponent is not strong. They are just some bandits who used to be miners. At most, they know some martial arts and are a little stronger. They are not opponents of ninjas at all. They are just suitable for fledgling ninjas to try their hands. Mingjing nodded, indicating that he had no other doubts. Kato Dan asked Inuzuka Ryo and Aburame Nami again, and after getting the same answer, he immediately announced that they would have 2 hours to prepare, and gather at the village entrance in 2 hours to prepare to set off. Are we going out to carry out the mission? Uchiha Yu knelt on the futon, looking at the fully armed Mingjing in front of him and asked, while his hand was still wiping a well-maintained, shining ninja sword. Well, Kato teacher is going to take us to carry out a mission to eliminate bandits. Uchiha Yu stroked his beard after listening, and then continued to ask. I have heard of Kato's reputation. Among the young Jonins in Konoha, he is the only outstanding ninja who can compete with White Fang and the 3 disciples of the 3rd generation. He is unique in perceiving ninjutsu and spiritual secrets. If you can learn some ninjutsu from him, it will be of great benefit to your future use of Sharingan. In addition, how well do you master Uchiha-style swordsmanship now? I have learned the basic sword moves, but I have only learned half of the sword skills combined with fire escape. Mingjing reported his learning progress truthfully. Uchiha-style swordsmanship is the swordsmanship passed down from generation to generation by the Uchiha clan. Hundreds of years of inheritance and improvement have made this swordsmanship system extremely perfect, and it can perfectly match Uchiha's Sharingan and fire escape, which is divided into 2 parts. What Mingjing is learning now is the first part. Although it only records the basic part of Uchiha-style swordsmanship, according to Uchiha Yu, if you can master the first part, you can become a special Jonin with swordsmanship as your specialty with the help of Sharingan. Uchiha Mingjing has not even learned all of them yet, let alone mastered them. Although you can only be regarded as an entry-level swordsmanship in the family and have laid a certain foundation, the fire escape and swordsmanship of Uchiha style are the top inheritances. Even if you have only learned the basics, it is enough to widen the gap between you and other genin at the stage of genin. Uchiha Yu's words seemed very plain to the point of being taken for granted. Because as an Uchiha, Uchiha Yu naturally thinks that his family's ninjutsu, swordsmanship and bloodstains are the best in the ninja world. If he can make achievements in one of them, he will be a well-known strong man in the ninja world. This should be regarded as the unique pride of the Uchiha clan, and even this kind of rightness may be regarded as arrogance by others sometimes. Although the Uchiha clan is indeed an extremely arrogant clan, because in the past 1,000 years, they have always stood at the top of the ninja world. In the Warring States period, no matter which period, there must be Uchiha among the strongest people in the ninja world. In the Land of Fire, the struggle between the Senju and the Uchiha clan has also been the main theme for thousands of years. However, this is far from enough, at least it does not meet my requirements for you. Uchiha Yu took out a scroll from his sleeve and handed it to Mingjing. After Fugaku, you are the most talented Uchiha in the family so far, and you are also the one who is most likely to push the Sharingan to the highest level. Adolescence is not only the time when ordinary ninjas improve their strength the fastest, but also the stage when the Sharingan has the highest probability of evolution. The biggest difference between the current Uchiha and when I was young is that there is a lack of a top strong man who can intimidate the ninja world. You must become stronger as soon as possible. Seemingly realizing that he had gone too far, Uchiha Yu changed the subject and moved on to the scroll he had just taken out. This scroll contains several relatively simple illusions, which many ninjas in the village have also learned. However, as an Uchiha who has opened the Sharingan, you can use the Sharingan to instantly activate it. In battle, especially when using the Uchiha-style swordsmanship to fight the enemy, relying on the Sharingan to launch unexpected illusions can often have the effect of turning the tide of the battle. I have also recorded some of my own illusions in it. When you can use these illusions proficiently and have a sufficient foundation, you can start to learn those more special and difficult ones that can only be activated by the Sharingan. Mingjing respectfully took the scroll from the old man's hand. Thank you, Grandpa Yu. Uchiha Yu waved his hand nonchalantly. Being able to become stronger as soon as possible and become a strong man who can protect the family and the village, and live up to my cultivation of you, is the best way to thank me. I just don't know if I can see that day at my age. As an Uchiha who is not much younger than the original generation and Madara, as his age and experience increase, Uchiha gradually becomes more worried about the future of his family. He has seen the fighting prowess of the strongest man in the ninja world, and he also clearly understands the power of the Mangekyo Sharingan. He even witnessed with his own eyes how terrifying and vast Uchiha Madara's godlike power is. Compare the current Uchiha clan, let alone Uchiha Madara, a super strong man who can single-handedly conquer the ninja world. He doesn't even have half a kaleidoscope. Uchiha Fugaku, the only one who can still see through it, now seems to have lost some meaning in strength and means, and has not even regained the power within the family. If this continues and no strong man emerges who can revitalize the family, then from Uchiha Yu's perspective, Uchiha may be in a very dangerous situation in the future. Now, he can only place his hopes on the most talented juniors who have appeared in the clan in recent years, and train them with all his strength, hoping that Uchiha Mirror can take on this role. Thinking of this, Uchiha Yu felt even more irritable and waved his hand impatiently at Mingjing. Okay, go and carry out your mission. Do you still want to stay and give me another meal? Okay, Grandpa Yu, when I come back from outside, I will bring you some local specialties. Konoha, the village gate. When Mingjing arrived here from the Uchiha clan's territory, Kato Dan, Inuzuka Rui and Aburame Nami were already waiting here. Sorry, I'm late. Mingjing scratched his head and smiled sheepishly at his teammates. It's okay. There are still more than 10 minutes left before the agreed meeting time. We arrived too early. Kato Dan shook his head, registered with the 2 Chunin on guard at the entrance of the village, and set off with his subordinates. The 3 genin, except for the time traveler Mingjing, saw the scene outside Konoha for the first time, so they were naturally curious about the outside world. If Tetsumaru and Inuzuka were not restrained by Kato Dan, they would have completely let go. Aburame Nami seemed calm, but in fact she was always looking around. A few bugs flew out of her sleeves from time to time, exploring everything around her. But this novelty goes as quickly as it comes. When everyone arrived at Ironstone Town, they had returned to their normal appearance. As this Ironstone Town, it doesn't seem very prosperous. Inuzuka Ryu hugged Tetsumaru and looked around. Of course Ironstone Town cannot be compared with Konoha Village. Mingjing shook his head. The village is the most powerful ninja village in the ninja world. The number of ninjas alone is extremely large. Coupled with other civilians, the population and economic size are not on the same level as ordinary small towns. Kato Dan smiled and then brought the topic back on track. Now, you can start to move freely. I will not take action unless you encounter a situation beyond your capabilities. After this mission is over, I will rate your performance. The scoring will determine do you want to go back to weeding and picking up trash next time. As for now, I will find a suitable hotel to rest for a while, and I will book a room for you by the way. After Kato Dan finished speaking, he clasped his hands behind his head and walked away with a leisurely expression. Looking at Kato Suan who was walking away, Inuzuka and Aburame Nami first looked at each other, and then turned their eyes to the mirror in tacit understanding. The former has no clue at all, while the latter is used to silence. Collect intelligence first, Nami. Use bugs to collect the terrain of Ironstone Town and its surroundings to avoid encountering emergencies and turning us into headless flies. Ju, you go and investigate the interpersonal relationships of the bandit members, including the bandit leader Okamoto, the time and place of the previous rebellions, and also pay attention to whether anything has happened in the town recently. As for me, I am going to visit the noble lord whose goods were robbed to see if I can get some other information from him. Mingjing thought for a while, then drew on the ground with his finger and said. Everyone has a clear division of labor, and the abilities and characteristics of Inuzuka and Nami are extremely suitable for collecting intelligence. Arrange for them to disperse and conduct investigations according to different focuses. However, I am indeed inferior to my 2 teammates in this regard, so then it would be more appropriate to simply go straight to the point and go find the person who issued this request, that is, the noble who is the lord of Blackstone Town. Then don't worry, leave it to Tetsuan and me. While rubbing Tetsumaru's head, Inuzuka gave a thumbs up to the mirror and pointed at himself. When it comes to intelligence and reconnaissance, our Inuzuka clan are experts. Inuzuka has this confidence. Although the Inuzuka clan's intelligence reconnaissance ability lies in their sense of smell, in order to maximize their ability in this area, most of them also have a good level of conventional intelligence gathering skills. Aburame Nami nodded, and then she and Inuzuka dispersed, ready to start their respective tasks. Then what happens next? Ming Jing shifted his attention to a building located in the center of the town. Tishi Town, Lord's Mansion. Go, you kid, didn't you see that this is Lord Tobita's mansion? At the door, a servant holding a broom and wearing a sweat towel on his head was waving at Ming Jing outside the door to drive him away. Even though he was just a servant, his words were full of superiority. He was a servant of Lord Fatian's family. His status was much higher than that of these lowly people. I am a Konoha ninja invited by your lord to perform a mission. Please inform Lord Fatian. Ming Jing's face sank, and his eyes glared while speaking, showing his Sharingan. Even if he did not use illusion, the deterrent power brought by this scarlet Sharingan was not small at all. The sweeping servant swallowed his saliva, and a bit of fear appeared on his face. Okay, I'll go now. After saying that, he hurriedly put down the broom and ran into the yard. Not long after, a fat man in luxurious silk and satin hurried over with a group of people. Oh my, the ninja master is here, and Tishi Town can finally be at peace. I am the lord of Tishi Town, Yuichi Tobita. I am honored to meet this ninja master. May I ask if your leader, Jonin? Teacher Kato was unable to come due to some emergency, so he sent me to visit the lord. Uchiha Mingjing said to the noble in front of him in a very calm tone. To be honest, just from the time when he was the sweeping boy, he left a not so good first impression on the nobles here. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.